My girlfriend dumped me for being poor, and 9 seconds later, I got $90 billion. There was only one problem. I could only spend it on women, not on myself, and definitely not on the ex who had just left me for a richer guy. Vanessa Bishop dumped me with 11 words while I was holding the plush bear she used to call our future. Wyatt, don't wait up. Gavin is outside. We're done. I typed, I'm sorry first because 3 years of being trained like a dog does that to a man. Then the gray bubble vanished. Blocked. Outside the dorm, a dark luxury sedan honked twice, sharp and smug, like Gavin Trent was already laughing through the windshield. I looked at the bear, at the empty apology on my phone, and at the $4 cafeteria receipt in my pocket. Then I deleted the apology. Deleting it was the first useful thing I had done all night. The phone screen did not return to my wallpaper. It went black, then lit up with one clean line. Counterbalance system online. I stared at it. My first thought was that lack of sleep had finally finished me. My second thought was worse. If I was losing my mind, at least my mind had better timing than Vanessa. The next line appeared. Counterbalance wallet, $90 billion. Spend condition, women only. Devotion score unlocks counterattack rebate. I did not get a manual. I did not get a glowing old man, a warning, or a speech about destiny. I got a balance bigger than a small country's budget and one humiliating rule that fit my life too well. The system had looked at my 3 years of bootlicking and said, fine, make it profitable. A black card slid out from between my phone and its case. I almost laughed. For 3 years, I had worked shifts I hated, skipped meals, carried Vanessa's books through rain, edited her papers, paid for her little emergencies, and told myself love was supposed to be unequal. Then she got into Gavin's car because he had better leather seats. The sedan honked again. I walked to the window. Gavin was leaning against the driver's door with one hand in his pocket, smiling up at the dorm like he owned the sidewalk. Vanessa stood beside him in the coat I bought her last winter. She looked at her phone, saw my messages had stopped, and frowned. Good. I wanted her to wonder for once. I dropped the plush bear into the trash can beside the lobby door and stepped out. Vanessa saw me first. Her shoulders tightened, not with guilt, with annoyance, like even after blocking me she expected one more performance. Gavin glanced at my hoodie and the worn sneakers I had repaired with glue. He did not bother hiding his smile. You came to wave goodbye? Gavin asked me, loud enough for 2 students smoking near the door to hear. Vanessa said, Wyatt, don't make this pathetic. We already talked. We had not talked. She had typed. I had obeyed. That used to be the pattern. I held up my phone, turned the blank message screen toward her and said, no speech. I just wanted to make sure the block worked. Her mouth opened. Gavin gave a short laugh. That's it? That's it, I said. Then I walked past them. I heard Vanessa call my name once. She sounded confused enough to make the night worth living. The counterbalance system pulsed on my phone as I crossed the Riverton State University quad. The fastest way to test a miracle is to try something selfish first. I stopped at a coffee machine outside the student center and tapped the black card for the cheapest black coffee on the screen. Declined. 2 guys behind me laughed. One of them said, even the machine knows you're broke. The system replied before I did. Spend condition failed. Women only. I looked at the card in my hand and laughed once, quiet enough that the guys stepped away instead of laughing again. The miracle was real enough to reject me. That made it feel less like charity and more like a weapon with a sick sense of humor. Choose first eligible target. I had enough dignity left not to choose Vanessa. Nobility had nothing to do with it. It was math. If the system worked, the best revenge was not begging the girl who left. The best revenge was making her watch me spend what she thought I never had on someone else. The student center was still open. Warm light spilled through the glass. Inside, the campus market smelled like fried food, coffee, cheap sugar, and all the comfort I had skipped to buy Vanessa gifts she never wore twice. A few students from the art studio were clustered near the market tables. I recognized Sierra Lane before she saw me. Everyone recognized Sierra. Sharp eyeliner, sharper mouth, paint on her fingers, and the confidence of someone who could insult you while making it sound like a sketch critique. She had watched Vanessa use me for 3 years. She had laughed at least twice. Perfect. I stepped into the market line. Sierra saw my hoodie, then my face. Her smile curved like a blade. Wyatt Locke, she said, loud enough for the art students around her to hear. Did Vanessa return you to the lost and found pile? A guy at the table choked on his drink. A girl in Vanessa's friend group lifted her phone. She was already filming. Old me would have lowered his head. Old me would have pretended the joke did not hurt. I looked at Sierra and asked, you hungry? That killed the laugh for half a second. Sierra tilted her head. Is that your rebound strategy? A campus sandwich? No, I said. My rebound strategy is finding out how expensive your mouth is. The students around her made the kind of noise people make when they smell a fight. Sierra crossed her arms. Careful, Vanessa dumped you, not your survival instinct. The counterbalance system flashed over her like a private tag only I could see. Sierra Lane, devotion score, 2, eligible. That little number hit harder than any compliment. The system was not giving me theory, it was handing me a target who had just volunteered. I turned to the counterworker and pointed at the glass case. Everything in there, I said. The counterworker blinked. Everything? Every sandwich, every salad, every dessert cup, every drink in the cooler. I looked back at Sierra. Put the order under Sierra Lane. She can feed the studio or build a throne out of muffins. I don't care. Sierra laughed once, but it came out thinner. Cute. And when your card declines? Then you get to laugh twice, I said. That's generous of me. The counterworker started tapping. The total rose so fast the students leaned in. One of Vanessa's friends whispered, "Is he serious?" I heard the whisper. I wanted Vanessa to hear it later. Sierra walked closer, testing me with every step. She pointed at a shelf behind the counter. "Add those box chocolates," she said. "All of them," I told the counterworker. Sierra's smile twitched. She pointed again. "And the imported sparkling water? The expensive one nobody buys." "Cases," I said. The counterworker looked from Sierra to me. "How many?" "All of them." The number kept climbing. Sierra leaned toward me and lowered her voice, but the nearby students still heard her. "You know Vanessa isn't coming back because you embarrass yourself louder, right?" "Good," I said. "I was worried she might." Vanessa's friend heard that. Her eyebrows jumped. She started typing with her thumb while still recording. Sierra's eyes narrowed. She did not like losing control of a joke she started. "Fine," she said. "The art studio needs supplies. Drawing tablets, paint sets, canvas rolls. The campus store stocks them in the back. Or is this only snack-rich?" The counterworker hesitated. "We can ring those through here, but the tablets are expensive." "How expensive?" Sierra asked, watching me. The worker turned the screen. The total was already stupid. The added supplies made it obscene. $53,418.72. The table went quiet. Not dramatic quiet. Hungry quiet. The kind that waits for a man to humiliate himself. I pulled out the black card. Sierra saw it and scoffed. "What is that? A gift card from a magic show?" "Maybe," I said. "Pick a receipt length." I tapped the card. Approved. The sound was tiny. The damage was not. The counterworker straightened like I had put on a suit in front of her. The student with the drink stopped chewing. Vanessa's friend lowered her recording phone, stared at the screen, then raised it again because she understood the second half mattered more. Sierra did not move. Sierra Lane, for once, had nothing ready. The counterbalance system pulsed. "Sierra Lane!" Devotion score, 2-19. Counterbalance. Wallet remaining, $89,999,046,581.28. No rebate, no fireworks, no miracle strength, just proof. It was enough. The counterworker handed me the receipt with both hands. "Do you need delivery to the studio?" I looked at Sierra. "Ask her, it's her pile." Sierra blinked. "My pile? Your name is on it. Don't choke on sincerity." The art students broke first. One of them laughed like the air had been punched out of him. Another grabbed the chocolate box and asked Sierra if she was rich now. The girl from Vanessa's friend group stopped pretending she was not sending the video. Sierra took the receipt from the counterworker. Her fingers touched mine for half a second. The system flashed again. Devotion score, 19-23. Greed was honest. I respected it more than fake purity. Sierra looked at the receipt, then at the mountain of food and supplies being stacked on carts. "How do I know you won't cancel delivery after you walk out?" "You don't." "Then give me your number. For accountability." The students around us heard the excuse and enjoyed it. Sierra heard herself too. Her chin lifted as if daring me to call it what it was. I held out my phone. "Accountability sounds expensive," she typed in her contact with one thumb. "I invoice emotionally. Then itemize." She handed the phone back. First charge, making me curious against my will. The system did not need to explain that one. Her devotion score climbed by 2 points while she was still pretending she only wanted the delivery confirmation. 23-25. Sierra lifted the receipt and waved it at the room. "Studio eats because Wyatt lost his mind. Nobody waste the fancy water." That got cheers. Not for me exactly. For the food, the chaos, the fact that the campus loser had just dropped $53,000 because a pretty girl insulted him. "Fine by me," a girl near the door said. "Vanessa needs to see this." Another student held up his phone. "She already did. Someone sent it." My own screen buzzed a second later with a message from the same unknown number that had filmed me. "Vanessa says you're doing this to make her jealous." I picked up one chocolate box from the counter and tossed it to Sierra. "Tell her not to guess so loudly." Sierra caught it against her chest. "You wanted that. I paid for that." Her smile came back, but now it had interest under it. Not affection, not trust, interest. Interest was cleaner than pity. She walked closer and looked me up and down again. This time she did not laugh at the sneakers. "Where did the money come from?" she asked. Bad emotional investment, I said. Finally matured. Sierra snorted. That's the dumbest rich answer I've ever heard. You've met a lot of rich men. Enough to know they don't dress like Laundry Day became a person. Then this is educational. She stepped around me, looked at the black card, and held out her hand. Let me see it. I put it back in my wallet. No. Her eyebrows lifted. So there is a limit. Yes, I said. Your hands. That earned a small hiss from the students behind her. Sierra's face warmed, but she covered it with a laugh. You were not this mean when you were carrying Vanessa's coffee. I was underpaid. The system did not reward that line. The room did. A few students started moving the food and supplies toward the studio. The counter worker called for help. The campus market shifted around Sierra like she had become the center of a ridiculous little parade. That mattered. Vanessa had spent 3 years making me a background object. In less than 10 minutes, Sierra Lane had become a walking billboard for the version of me Vanessa never bothered to imagine. I did not explain that to anyone. I watched the room rearrange itself. Sierra noticed too. She set the chocolate box down and said, Snacks are cute, Wyatt, but snacks are also easy to fake if you stole somebody's card. You think I stole it? I think men cry after breakups and do stupid things. You look like the crying type. That one landed. She saw it land. Her smile sharpened again because Sierra liked poking bruises. Old me would have defended myself. New me checked the system balance and asked, What's the harder test? Sierra's gaze slid to the windows, beyond the student center, toward the road that led to Cedar Point Mall. Astor and Birch Boutique, she said. Designer bags. Clerks who can smell fake money through glass. If your little magic card lives there, I might believe you. Vanessa loved Astor and Birch Boutique. Of course she did. She had sent me pictures of their Italian leather bags for months. She used to say she was not asking, only dreaming. Then she would leave the photos where I could see them and wait for me to apologize for being poor. The system screen gave no instruction. It did not need to. I held out my arm toward the exit. After you. Sierra stared at me for another second, testing whether I would retreat now that the joke had moved from muffins to real status. I did not move. She grabbed the receipt, shoved it at one of the art students, and told him, Guard my empire. If anyone steals the chocolate, I want names. Then she walked with me out of the student center like she had meant for all of this to happen. Halfway across the quad, my phone buzzed. A message preview appeared from an unknown number. Tell Vanessa you bought another girl half the market? She is asking if that video is fake. I smiled and locked the phone. Sierra saw the smile. Was that her? Not directly. You want her jealous. I want her accurate. Sierra laughed, but softer this time. We took a campus shuttle towards Cedar Point Mall. No long ride, no deep talk, no sad confession. Sierra spent the trip scrolling through pictures of Astor and Birch Boutique bags and raising the price every time she thought I looked too calm. This one is $12,000, she said. Cheap. This one is $18. Still breathing. She looked at me over the phone. You're either rich or severely concussed. Can be both. Her devotion score blinked, 25 to 26. Not love. Not close. But every point sounded like a coin dropping into a machine built from my humiliation. By the time we reached Cedar Point Mall, the video had already moved faster than we had. 2 students near the entrance recognized me and whispered. One pointed at Sierra's empty hands like she was waiting to see what object would appear there. Good. A status reversal is better with witnesses. Sierra led me to the second floor. Astor and Birch Boutique sat under warm gold lighting, all glass, polished shelves, and clerks trained to smile only after checking shoes. The moment we stepped inside, one clerk looked at my hoodie and started toward us with the careful expression people use when they plan to remove a problem politely. Then I saw the display table. One Italian leather bag sat on the glass, deep cream, silver clasp, impossible little price tag tucked under the handle. Vanessa Bishop had both hands on it. Gavin Trent stood beside her, checking his phone, already bored by the cost of being the upgrade. Sierra followed my stare and smiled like a match catching. Please tell me, she whispered, that's the one. Her devotion score blinked once, as if the system enjoyed the cruelty too. 26 to 27. It was. I knew the clasp, the color, the silver edge of the handle. I had stared at screenshots of that bag while calculating how many double shifts would buy one woman's temporary smile. The last bag Vanessa once begged me to buy was finally in reach. And for the first time in 3 years, I was not the one begging. Vanessa Bishop had the last Italian leather bag in both hands when Sierra Lane and I walked into Astor and Birch Boutique. Fate set the table and handed me a knife. The clerk nearest the door saw my hoodie and started toward me with a soft retail smile. The smile said, please leave before I have to call someone. Then she saw Sierra's receipt from the campus market sticking out of her pocket, saw the black card between my fingers, and slowed down. Money has a smell in luxury stores, so does poverty. That night, I let them sniff until they got confused. Vanessa looked up from the bag first. Her face changed in 3 quick pieces: surprise, anger, then a tiny panic she tried to hide by turning toward Gavin Trent. "Gavin!" Vanessa said, louder than she needed to. "This is the one I told you about!" Gavin did not look at the bag. He looked at me. His smile came back. "You followed us to the mall?" Sierra made a bright little sound beside me. "He followed me. Try to keep up." Vanessa's fingers tightened on the handle. The clerk near the display table said, "This is our last one in that color. We can place a request for another shipment, but there is no guarantee." That sentence was a loaded gun. Vanessa heard it, Gavin heard it, Sierra definitely heard it. Sierra stepped closer to the display table, looked at the bag in Vanessa's hands and said, "That's pretty, I want it." Vanessa turned on her. "I'm holding it." "I can see that," Sierra said. "You're doing great." The clerk froze between them. Gavin laughed once, careless and loud. "Relax, it's a bag." Vanessa's head snapped toward him. "You said you'd get it for me." "I said we'd look," Gavin replied. Then he glanced at me again. "Unlike some people, I don't prove love by throwing money at every little tantrum." Rich words, coming from the man who had honked outside my dorm like a hired driver for her ego. Sierra looked at me. "Did you hear that? He respects women too much to buy them things. Very brave." A second clerk pressed her lips together to keep from smiling. Vanessa saw it and flushed. Gavin's face hardened. "You think this is funny?" "I think it's educational," I said. Vanessa pulled the bag closer to her chest. "Wyatt, stop! You're embarrassing yourself." There it was, her favorite leash. For 3 years, whenever I asked for basic respect, Vanessa called it embarrassing. When I worked 4 jobs for her birthday, she called it sweet. When I asked why she never posted me, she called it pressure. When I stopped being useful, she called it over. I did not give her the argument. I asked the clerk at the display table, "Is she buying it?" The clerk looked from Vanessa to Gavin. "We can hold an item only during active checkout." Gavin's jaw moved. Vanessa waited for him. Sierra waited for me. The whole boutique waited for someone to prove what kind of story this was. Gavin reached for the price tag, tilted it, and made the mistake of reacting. It was fast, barely a twitch. But Vanessa saw it. So did Sierra. "What?" Vanessa asked Gavin. "Nothing," Gavin said. "I just don't think this color is worth that." The first clerk's eyes dropped to the floor. Sierra gave a low whistle. The color got expensive. Tragic. Gavin pointed at her. "You don't even belong in here." Sierra's smile vanished. That insult was meant for her, but it landed in a room full of mirrors. She had mocked my clothes all night. Now Gavin had used the same blade on her. The difference was that I had paid for the privilege. I stepped between Gavin and Sierra, not close enough to touch him, close enough to make him lift his chin. "Box the bag for Sierra Lane," I told the clerk. Vanessa's face went white. The clerk swallowed. "Sir, the item is currently being viewed by another customer." I looked at Vanessa. "Are you buying it?" She stared at Gavin. Gavin's pride fought his wallet and lost. "Vanessa doesn't need to compete with your little rebound," Gavin said. "We have better things to spend money on." Sierra leaned around me. "Like excuses?" The second clerk made a small sound and turned it into a cough. Gavin heard it. His ears reddened. He snatched a tiny card case from the shelf beside him and tossed it on the counter. "Ring this up. Vanessa likes practical gifts." Vanessa stared at the little piece of leather. "Gavin, I wanted the bag." "You wanted to shop," he said. "We are shopping." His own line did more damage than anything I could have said. A cheap man can hide behind taste until he has to make a woman feel chosen in public. Gavin had a luxury sedan outside and a bargain excuse inside. The clerk placed the card case beside the register. "Would you like to add the bag to the purchase?" Gavin's smile tightened. "No." The word was small. The room heard it anyway. Sierra touched the box display tag with one finger. "So the upgrade comes with a smaller storage compartment," Vanessa whispered. "Stop!" I did not know if she meant Sierra, Gavin, or the whole night. I only knew she did not mean herself. Gavin pushed his card across the counter. The payment cleared for the card case. That made it worse. He had enough money to buy a token and enough pride to pretend the token was principal. The clerk put the tiny box in front of Vanessa. She did not pick it up. Sierra leaned close to me and murmured, "Please tell me you are about to be disgusting." "Professionally," I said. Vanessa still would not let go of the bag. I held out my hand toward the clerk. "If she is not checking out, box it." The clerk looked at the store manager near the back. The manager gave one tiny nod. Luxury stores love rules, but they love cleared payment more. The clerk reached for the bag. Vanessa jerked back. "Wyatt, not stop. Not please, just my name," like she still owned the button. I met her eyes. "You blocked me, remember?" That hit harder than I expected. Her lower lip moved, and for a second I saw the girl who used to call me whenever her rides canceled, whenever her card declined, whenever she wanted me to be useful without being seen. Then Sierra stepped beside me, close enough that her sleeve brushed mine. Vanessa saw that too. The clerk gently took the bag from Vanessa's hands. The first real payoff of the night was not the money, it was her empty hands. The clerk placed the bag on soft paper, folded the tissue, and set it inside a cream box. Sierra watched the box like she was trying not to grin too early. Gavin scoffed. "You really think one purchase makes you a man?" "No," I said. "It makes her the owner. Try to follow the receipt." The clerk read the total. Vanessa's eyes flicked to Gavin one more time. He looked away first. I tapped the black card. Approved. The little sound landed like a slap. The store changed immediately. The clerk's shoulders straightened. The manager came forward. The second clerk offered Sierra sparkling water with both hands. 3 customers near the perfume shelf stopped pretending not to watch. The counterbalance system pulsed. Sierra Lane. Devotion score, 27 to 43. Counterbalance wallet remaining, $89,909,927,913.28. I did the math in my head and almost laughed. Vanessa had left me for a man who flinched at a price tag. The system had handed me a woman who raised the price because she wanted to see if I would bleed. Sierra took the box from the clerk and hugged it like a trophy. "Wyatt," she said, "sweet enough to poison coffee. Do I look materialistic?" Gavin muttered. "Yes." I looked at Sierra. "You look expensive. There's a difference." Her devotion score jumped again, 43 to 48. Vanessa heard the line and folded her arms, but the motion looked defensive, not proud. She said, "So this is who you are now? Buying girls who laugh at you?" Sierra's smile thinned. "He bought me a bag. You left him for a ride. Be careful with the moral high ground. It might not support both heels." The manager stared at the display case like she had not heard anything. The clerks heard everything. Gavin stepped forward. "Say that again." I turned slightly. "She said you are cheap. I can repeat it if the words cost too much." His hand flexed. For one stupid second, I thought he might swing in the middle of Astor and Birch Boutique, under warm lighting, beside a shelf of tiny wallets that cost more than my old rent. He did not. Not yet. Gavin cared too much about looking rich to act poor in the wrong store. The manager cleared her throat. "Sir, would you like us to open a store card under the purchase account? We offer private previews for high-tier clients." Vanessa went still. The next knife was already on the table. Gavin had hesitated over one bag. I smiled at the manager. "Put 500,000 on it, under Sierra Lane." Sierra stopped breathing for a beat. The clerk near the register actually looked up this time. The manager recovered fastest because expensive rooms train people to accept insanity if it pays. "Of course, sir," Vanessa whispered. 500,000, Gavin said. "It's a stunt." I tapped the black card again. Approved. The manager's smile became real. The second clerk brought a slim store card in a black envelope and presented it to Sierra. Sierra took it slowly, like it might burn her. Her voice came out softer. "This is mine?" "Your name?" I said. "Your card, your problem if you develop taste." She looked from the envelope to me. The mockery did not disappear. It changed shape. Less blade, more hook. Sierra Lane. Devotion score, 48 to 56. Sierra opened the envelope and looked inside as if a trap might jump out. "No limit tonight? There is always a limit. What is it?" "Boredom." She laughed under her breath, then turned toward the clerk. "Does this store card work for private previews?" The manager answered before the clerk could. "For this tier, yes. We can invite you before seasonal releases." A clerk who had ignored Sierra at the door now stood straighter. Vanessa's face tightened. Vanessa understood the store card faster than the bag. The bag was a thing. The store card was access. A door she had wanted Gavin to open had just opened for Sierra because Sierra had insulted me at the right time. Sierra heard the manager too. She lifted the black envelope, not high enough to be childish, high enough for Vanessa to see. "Private previews," Sierra said. "That sounds better than being told a color is not worth it." Gavin stepped toward her. "You keep talking like that and someone is going to teach you manners." I moved one foot. Just one. Gavin stopped. He tried to cover it by fixing his sleeve, but the manager saw. Vanessa saw. Sierra definitely saw. Sierra's eyes flicked to me, and her voice lost half its tease. "You always step in when people threaten girls, or am I special because I cost more tonight?" "Both answers annoy men like him," I said. "Pick one." The system did not move. Sierra did. She shifted closer to my side without making a speech out of it. A second later, it moved after all. 56 to 58. Apparently the counterbalance system valued danger less when a woman pretended she had not noticed it. Fair. I had spent 3 years pretending not to notice danger when it wore Vanessa's perfume. Vanessa watched every point without seeing the number. She only saw what mattered, another woman receiving the public status she had tried to extract from Gavin. That was cleaner than revenge. It was replacement. The clerk asked Sierra if she wanted to carry the bag or have it delivered. Sierra looked right at Vanessa and said, "I'll carry it. Some things should be seen." Brutal girl. I liked her more than I should have. Vanessa's face crumpled for half a second before pride taped it back together. She stepped toward me. Her hand brushed the tiny card case box Gavin had bought her. She left it on the counter. Love, loyalty, and redemption had nothing to do with that choice. She was realizing she had traded a servant for a man who still made her feel poor. "Wyatt, can we talk outside?" Gavin grabbed her wrist. "No, we cannot." She pulled free, not hard, but enough that the clerks noticed. A useful reaction changes the next choice. Vanessa's did. Until that moment, Gavin thought he had won her. Now he had to watch her chase a man in repaired sneakers. I looked at Sierra. "Done shopping?" Sierra lifted the box. "For tonight, unless your ex wants to watch me pick shoes." Vanessa flinched. Gavin stepped close enough that I could smell his cologne. "Enjoy the joke while it lasts, Wyatt. Nobody gets rich overnight unless they're stealing or pretending." "Then call someone," I said. "Use speaker. Make it public." He did not. The manager's eyes moved to Gavin, then away. That was the quietest humiliation in the room. Even the staff knew who was bluffing. I walked toward the door with Sierra beside me and the boxed bag swinging from her hand. At the threshold, the manager called after us. "Sierra Lane, we will text your preview invitation." Sierra did not turn around. She only raised the black envelope over one shoulder. That tiny gesture hit Vanessa harder than a shout. Vanessa had wanted entry into rooms where clerks remembered her name. Gavin had given her a card case she refused to touch. Vanessa followed us into the corridor outside the boutique. Gavin followed her because pride is a leash too. The mall noise swallowed the boutique music. Families passed. A group of students from Riverton State University slowed when they recognized the bag and then recognized me. The video from the student center had done its work. One student whispered, "That's Vanessa's ex." Another answered, "Then who's the girl with the bag?" Sierra heard both of them and adjusted the box higher against her hip. She did not need to say she was the replacement. The packaging said it for her. She slowed just enough for the phones to catch the logo on the box, then glanced at me. "Too much. For them," I said, "not for me." Her smile came back mean and bright. Vanessa caught up near the railing. "You did this to punish me," she said. I stopped. Sierra stopped too, but she did not step back. She stayed at my side with the box visible between us. "No," I told Vanessa. "I did it because Sierra asked. That's the part that should bother you." Vanessa's eyes shone. Anger, regret, jealousy. I did not know the proportions yet. I just knew every emotion pointed away from Gavin. She said, "After 3 years, you buy her that in one night?" Her voice cracked on 3 years, and I hated that a stupid part of me still recognized the sound. That part had run through rain for her. That part had skipped dinner so she could have flowers. That part had believed every delayed thank you was proof she was busy, not proof I was optional. I killed that part with one sentence. "After 3 years, you blocked me in 1 second." Vanessa swallowed. "I was angry." "You were upgraded," I said. "Use the word you paid for." Gavin grabbed her elbow. "We are leaving." She did not move. That refusal was small, but in front of Gavin it was expensive. His hand stayed on her arm for 1 second too long before he noticed the students watching and let go. Sierra's grip tightened on the shopping bag. Gavin laughed behind Vanessa. "This is pathetic. He's trying to buy a personality." I looked past Vanessa at him. "Still cheaper than renting yours for a sedan ride." The students by the railing reacted. Not loud, just enough. Gavin's jaw clenched. Vanessa stepped closer. "Wyatt, please." Please had been my word for 3 years. Now it sat in her mouth like it did not know the language. She reached for my sleeve. I moved back. Her fingers missed, and her shoulder bumped mine instead. On purpose or panic, I could not tell. The system did not care. My phone pulsed hot in my pocket. I looked down. The counterbalance system displayed a new profile. Vanessa Bishop. Devotion score, 11. Eligible. Under her score, the system showed Gavin Trent, not as a mystery, not as a villain speech, just his name sitting beside hers like an unpaid debt. I almost laughed in her face. The woman who had used me, blocked me, and called my pain embarrassing had just become profitable. Sierra leaned close enough to whisper, but Vanessa heard every word. "Wyatt," Sierra said, "why are you smiling like that?" I put the phone away. "Because," I said, looking at Vanessa and then at Gavin, "this night keeps getting cheaper for me." Gavin stepped forward. Vanessa stepped between us. And the system, cruel little miracle that it was, waited for me to decide whether my ex was still a wound or finally a wallet with tears. Vanessa Bishop became eligible the moment she bumped my shoulder outside Astor and Birch Boutique. That should have made me sentimental. It made me calculate. Her devotion score sat at 11, low enough to insult me, high enough to prove the last bag had cut skin. Under her score, the counterbalance system showed Gavin Trent like a stain that had not washed out yet. Sierra Lane saw me looking at my phone and hugged the boxed bag tighter. "So," she said, "are you done torturing your ex, or is there a dessert menu?" Depends, I said. Do you get jealous easily? Sierra laughed. I get expensive easily, different disease. The system had a problem. It did not reward clean romance. It rewarded pressure, greed, attention, comparison, and all the ugly little wants people usually dressed up as standards. I learned that part fast. The public part hit later. By midnight, the student center video had spread through half of Riverton State University. I knew because my phone kept buzzing with messages from numbers that had ignored me when I was carrying Vanessa's coffee. One message came through Black Cat Live. The profile belonged to Lacey Pratt. I knew her the way most broke college men knew streamers. From clips. From campus guys saying she replied if you donated enough. From her smiling at lonely men while never letting them forget the meter was running. Her message was short. Heard you spend when pretty girls ask. Come prove it on my stream. A photo followed. Lacey Pratt in soft lighting, holding up a heart with both hands. Under the picture, she wrote, "Don't bring the art girl unless she tips." Sierra looked over my shoulder and snorted. She seems subtle. She seems useful, I said. Sierra's smile faded by 1 degree. Good. Jealousy did not need love to work. Sometimes it only needed a bag in one hand and another woman asking for attention. The counterbalance system gave no alert for Lacey Pratt yet. That interested me more than the photo. Maybe the system cared about women who changed my life, not women who changed filters. I opened Black Cat Live and made the handle the app suggested after 3 tries failed. Midnight Whale, absurd, dramatic, slightly embarrassing, perfect for a man who had just bought revenge in a mall corridor. Lacey Pratt's stream was already loud when I entered. Pink lights, fast chat, music low enough for her voice to stay sweet. A viewer had already dragged the student center clip into her chat. My repaired sneakers, my hoodie, Sierra Lane's receipt, the carts of food. Lacey Pratt watched 3 seconds of it on stream and laughed behind her fingers. He is cute, Lacey Pratt said, which meant she thought I was not. A little tragic, but generous tragedy is my favorite category. The chat enjoyed that. Sierra Lane, sitting across from me at a late-night table outside the closed food court, looked at my phone and said, "You gonna let her call you tragedy?" I have been called worse for free. Lacey Pratt saw the new viewer banner and leaned toward the camera. Midnight Whale? Lacey Pratt said to her stream. That is either a rich man or the saddest aquarium employee alive. The chat filled with laughing icons. I sent one rocket. The animation crossed the screen bright and stupid. Lacey Pratt's smile sharpened. Oh, rich aquarium then. Hi baby. Baby. The word was cheap, but the scoreboard was not. I sent 10 more rockets. Her voice warmed instantly. Where did you come from, Midnight Whale? I typed one line. From a bad breakup. Lacey Pratt read it aloud and put one hand over her heart. Then she was blind. Stay here. I treat loyal men better. Sierra, who was sitting across from me at a late-night table outside the closed food court, made a gagging sound. She treats wallets better, Sierra said. So do you. Sierra lifted the Astor and Birch Boutique box. I have range. The chat noticed the rockets. Lacey Pratt noticed faster. Within 5 minutes, she was calling me generous, mysterious, and dangerous. 3 words she had not earned. Then she made the mistake that turned a donation into a duel. There is a campus feature event tomorrow, Lacey Pratt told the stream. Some icy piano girl from Riverton State University is trying to pass me on the leaderboard with a charity recital. Cute, right? But we do not let quiet girls beat entertainers. Midnight Whale, you should come help me bury her. The chat filled with one name. Celeste Monroe. I had seen Celeste Monroe before, but never from close enough to matter. Student council star. Pianist. The kind of woman guys described as cold because she did not reward noise. Vanessa hated her, which automatically made Celeste more interesting. Sierra saw the name and leaned back. Bad idea, Sierra said. Why? Celeste Monroe does not chase. People chase her and call it cardio. That sounded like a better test than Lacey Pratt. The next afternoon, I saw Celeste Monroe in person outside a music room at Riverton State University. No spotlight, no pink lights, just a black sweater, a stack of sheet music, and 3 students pretending they had business near the door. A student council guy blocked her path with a clipboard. Celeste, the event needs you to smile more on camera, he said. Donors respond to warmth. Celeste Monroe looked at the clipboard, then at him. Then asked the donors to bring blankets. The students near the wall tried not to laugh. I liked her immediately. The student council guy kept going. Lacey Pratt is ahead in audience engagement. If you want support, you need to be more approachable. Celeste Monroe's face did not move. If support requires begging, I can lose with clean hands. There it was. The opposite of Vanessa, the opposite of Lacey Pratt, a woman refusing to kneel in the exact economy where the system made kneeling profitable. The counterbalance system flashed. Celeste Monroe, devotion score, 0. Eligible. 0. Not dislike, not interest, nothing. A locked door with music behind it. The student council guy noticed me standing nearby and frowned. Do you need something? I ignored him and spoke to Celeste Monroe. I want your contact. The hallway went still enough for the vending machine hum to become annoying. Celeste Monroe looked at me. For what purpose? To pursue you, I said. The student council guy laughed. You cannot just say that. I just did. Celeste Monroe studied me. Not my shoes, not my hoodie, my face. That already put her ahead of half the campus. Most men pretend they need help with music first, she said. I don't. Do you play? No. Do you donate? Sometimes. Then why should I give you my contact? Because I answered without making you listen to a fake excuse. The student council guy opened his mouth. Celeste Monroe held up one hand, and he closed it. She took my phone, typed in her contact, and handed it back. I do not reward arrogance, she said. I reward efficiency. Once. The system pulsed. Devotion score, 0 to 5. 5 points for not lying. After 3 years with Vanessa, that felt like a scholarship. I did not text Celeste Monroe immediately. The old me would have sent 6 careful messages, deleted 5, and apologized for the 6th. New me put the phone away and let the empty space work. Sierra found me outside the art studio an hour later. She had the Astor and Birch boutique box on one hip and suspicion all over her face. Rumor says you asked Celeste Monroe for her contact in front of student council, Sierra said. Rumor works fast. So do you. You complaining? Sierra looked away first. I am evaluating whether my store card needs emotional damages added. Jealousy had arrived wearing sarcasm. The system rewarded it with 1 point. Sierra Lane, devotion score, 58 to 59. Small hit, real hit. That night, Black Cat Live put Lacey Pratt and Celeste Monroe on opposite sides of the same campus feature event. Lacey Pratt had lights, jokes, and a dress designed to make lonely men forget rent. Celeste Monroe had a plain camera angle, a piano, and the expression of someone prepared to lose rather than flirt with strangers. Lacey Pratt messaged me before the duel started. Be good tonight. Send them to my side. I will thank you properly. Then another message. Do not waste them on Celeste. She probably thinks your hoodie is contagious. I looked at the message, then at Celeste Monroe's quiet stream. She had not asked me for $1. That made the first rocket feel better. I sent it to Celeste Monroe. Her side of the screen lit up. Lacey Pratt's smile stayed perfect for 2 seconds because she thought the rocket had landed on her side. Then my private messages lit up. Wrong side, baby. I looked at the message, looked at Celeste Monroe's quiet camera, and sent another rocket to Celeste Monroe before answering. No. That was all I typed. Then Lacey Pratt read the banner. Midnight Whales sent a rocket to Celeste Monroe. Her smile cracked. Sierra, watching beside me against her will and entirely by choice, whispered, You are evil. Efficient, I said. I sent another rocket to Celeste Monroe, then 10, then 100. The leaderboard shifted. Lacey Pratt laughed too brightly. Looks like our new whale clicked wrong. It happens, baby, my button is the pink one. I typed in Celeste Monroe's chat. The quiet side is easier to find. The chat exploded, not because the line was good. It was not. It was blunt and petty. But blunt and petty becomes poetry when it arrives attached to money. I sent another wave of rockets. The banner stretched across both streams. Midnight Whale pushed Celeste Monroe to number 1. Lacey Pratt stopped laughing. Celeste Monroe stopped playing. For half a second, her hands rested above the keys. She looked toward the camera, not smiling, not performing gratitude. Midnight Whale, Celeste Monroe said, clear enough for both chats to clip. I did not ask for this. I typed back. That's why you got it. Sierra made another sound beside me. This one was not disgust. It was annoyance with a pulse under it. The counterbalance system flashed. Celeste Monroe. Devotion score, 5 to 18. Lacey Pratt recovered badly. Sweetheart, Lacey Pratt said to her stream, voice tight. Do not let a girl who plays funeral music steal our night. I sent more rockets to Celeste Monroe. The total crossed 1 million. Lacey Pratt stopped reading chat. The total crossed 3 million. Celeste Monroe's stream lagged under the traffic. The total crossed 7 million. Lacey Pratt tried to laugh again and missed the beat. Midnight Whale, you are embarrassing me in front of everyone. I typed into Celeste Monroe's chat. That was not the side effect. Sierra Lane slapped the table once, half scandalized and half impressed. You really do invoice emotionally. I learned from the best. Vanessa? Pain, I said. The campus event page shoved Celeste Monroe's camera onto the front banner. At $10 million, Black Cat Live filled the screen with a leaderboard animation so gaudy it looked illegal. Midnight Whale crowned Celeste Monroe. Lacey Pratt lost the duel, lost the chat, and lost the right to pretend she did not care. Her viewers turned on the joke before she could save it. She said my handle like a curse wrapped in sugar. Midnight Whale, message me after stream. We need to talk. I closed her stream. That did not stop her. 3 private messages hit my phone before Celeste Monroe's camera even faded. You made your point. I can be nice offline. Do not waste 10 million on a girl who won't even call you baby. Sierra Lane read the last one over my shoulder and rolled her eyes. I hate that line because it would work on half the men here. Only half? The other half cannot afford to be humiliated by her. I left Lacey Pratt unread. That was cheaper than replying and somehow meaner. Celeste Monroe's contact lit up on my phone 1 minute later. Her message was simple. Why? I wrote back. You did not beg. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then Celeste Monroe replied, lunch tomorrow, low key, no audience. I looked at Sierra. She was pretending not to stare at the message. Problem? I asked. No, Sierra said. I just hope the goddess likes riding in whatever broke boy vehicle matches that hoodie. I smiled. The next morning, I arrived at the campus gate on my beat-up scooter. Celeste Monroe stood there with a small bag over one shoulder and no entourage. Several students slowed down when she walked toward me. One guy actually looked behind me searching for the hidden luxury car. There was none. Celeste Monroe glanced at the scooter. This is yours? She asked. For now. You spent $10 million last night and ride this? It still starts. She studied me again. Either you are hiding something or you are careless with money. Both can buy lunch. That got the smallest smile from her. The system noticed. Devotion score, 18 to 22. 22 still meant almost nothing. It did not mean trust, affection, or loyalty. It meant curiosity with a receipt attached. Fine. Curiosity had gotten me farther in 2 days than devotion had gotten me in 3 years. Celeste Monroe put on the spare helmet. The campus saw her do it. One student near the gate lifted his phone. Another whispered, "Is that Celeste Monroe?" Celeste Monroe heard him and still fastened the strap. She did not hide her face. She did not ask me to park farther away. She gave the whole campus a clean angle and then sat behind me like the scooter was a choice, not a downgrade. The choice said more than any speech. The untouchable woman who refused to beg had just climbed onto the back of the former campus simp's scooter the morning after he crowned her on Black Cat Live. Sierra saw us pass from the art building steps. Vanessa saw the clip 10 minutes later. I knew because my phone buzzed with a message she typed and deleted 3 times before sending nothing. Celeste Monroe chose Pier 9 Diner because it was quiet, cheap, and close enough to campus that people could still ruin it. We took a booth near the window. She set the spare helmet beside her instead of hiding it under the table. Another small choice. Another public answer. The waitress poured coffee. Celeste Monroe thanked her by name tag only, then looked at me across the table. Before we order, Celeste Monroe said, I need to know whether I was a person last night or a weapon. The question cut sharper than most insults because it was fair. Both, I said. Her eyes narrowed. You were a person who did not beg, I added. That made you the better weapon. Celeste Monroe did not smile at that. She respected honest damage more than fake softness, but respect was not approval. I do not sell attention, Celeste Monroe said. If last night was meant to purchase me, we can end lunch now. If I wanted to buy attention, I said, I would have kept funding Lacey Pratt. She was cheaper emotionally. Celeste Monroe's mouth curved again. Then what do you want? She asked. I could have lied. I could have said connection, healing, destiny, all the words men use when they want something but want applause for wanting it. I chose the dangerous truth. I want to stop being the man women use when richer men are busy. Celeste Monroe did not soften. She did not pity me. She just nodded once, like the answer had weight, and she respected weight. Then do not use me as proof you recovered, she said. I won't. You already did last night. Last night was proof I could choose, I said. Today is me finding out whether the choice bites. She looked at the spare helmet beside her. It might. Good, I said. Soft things made me stupid. Celeste Monroe actually laughed. One quick breath, gone before it could become warmth. The system did not move. That made the laugh feel cleaner than paid applause. Then the bell above the diner door rang. Vanessa Bishop walked in first. Gavin Trent followed with one hand on her lower back, his eyes already scanning for an audience. He found me. He found Celeste Monroe sitting across from me. His smile turned mean before he reached the booth. Vanessa saw Celeste Monroe's helmet on the seat beside me. She saw the coffee, the quiet table, the woman she could not outrank by crying. Gavin pulled a folded stack of cash from his pocket and slapped it onto our table. Bills slid against Celeste Monroe's coffee cup. Move, Gavin said to me. I'm buying the seat. Celeste Monroe went still. I looked at the cash, then at Gavin. The Rockets had made Midnight Whale famous. The bag had made Vanessa regret. But Gavin Trent had just given me something better than money. A public reason to stand up. Gavin Trent had just slapped cash onto my table and told me to move. The bills slid across Pier 9 Diner, bumped Celeste Monroe's coffee cup, and stopped beside my fork. Celeste looked at the money first. Then she looked at Gavin. You buy seats now? Celeste asked. Gavin smiled at her like he had practiced being charming in mirrors that could not talk back. I buy peace, Wyatt makes scenes, you deserve a quieter lunch. Vanessa Bishop stood behind him with one hand on her purse strap. She had followed him into the diner, but her eyes were already on me. Not Celeste. Not the cash. Me. That was new. For 3 years I had been the man waiting behind her life. Now she had walked into a diner with Gavin and still looked at my face first. The counterbalance system pulsed in my pocket. Vanessa Bishop. Devotion score, 11 to 18. Jealousy was ugly. It was also efficient. Gavin tapped the cash with 2 fingers. Take it. Buy lunch somewhere else, maybe somewhere with pictures on the menu. The waitress at the counter stopped wiping glasses. 2 students in the booth behind us lowered their fries and started listening with their whole bodies. I picked up 1 bill. Gavin's smile widened. I used the bill to dab a drop of coffee off the table, then set it back on the pile. Your money is absorbent, I said, still not persuasive. The booth behind us made one small choking sound. Celeste covered her mouth with her cup, but her eyes gave her away. Gavin's smile died slowly enough to be satisfying. He turned on the waitress because men like Gavin always look for someone safer to punish. Clear this booth, Gavin said. He's bothering us. The waitress looked at me, then at Celeste, then at the cash on the table. They were seated first. I said clear it. The diner manager had not come out yet. The waitress stood alone with a coffee pot in one hand and a rich boy trying to make her part of his tantrum. The old me would have lowered my head so nobody else got dragged into my humiliation. The new me picked up the menu. Do you still have the strawberry pie? I asked the waitress. She blinked. Yes. How many slices? Maybe 18. Bring all of them. Every table with a woman gets dessert on Celeste Monroe's bill. Celeste's eyes moved to me. Gavin laughed. You were buying pie now? You tried to buy my seat. I am buying the room. The waitress stared at the black card I placed beside the napkin holder. Sir, that is a lot of pie. Then the women here will survive tragedy. Celeste said my name under her breath, half warning and half amusement. I looked at her. Too much? Obviously, she said. Continue. The waitress took the card to the counter. Gavin watched her like he expected the whole diner to be saved by a decline. The payment cleared, the receipt printed. The waitress brought the first plates out herself. That did something Gavin did not understand until it was too late. The woman at the counter, the 2 students in the booth, the older lady near the window, even the girl studying alone by the jukebox all looked at our table differently. Gavin had thrown cash at me. I had turned his insult into dessert for everyone he ignored. The waitress set 1 slice in front of Celeste and 1 in front of Vanessa before she set anything near Gavin. Vanessa stared at the plate. He never bought dessert for me here, she said before she could stop herself. Gavin heard it, so did the room. The counterbalance system pulsed. Vanessa Bishop, devotion score, 18 to 23. Gavin's jaw worked. You are impressed by pie? Vanessa looked at the neat strawberry slice, then at the cash on the table. I am impressed by someone not making me beg for it. The room went colder around him. Gavin reached for the cash pile like he wanted to gather back the insult. I put 1 finger on the top bill. Leave it, I said. It matches the floor, Vanessa whispered. Wyatt, don't. I looked at her. Don't what? She did not have an answer that made her look good. Gavin leaned over the table. You think last night makes you untouchable? No, I said. I think touching me is a bad investment. He laughed and turned toward Celeste. See? This is the act. He gets dumped, borrows some card, throws money around, and suddenly thinks he is a person. Celeste's expression cooled. He was a person before the card. That line landed better than romance. It corrected him in public. Vanessa heard it too. Her hand tightened around her purse strap. The system pulsed again. Vanessa Bishop, devotion score, 23 to 31. Gavin noticed Vanessa staring and grabbed at control the way cheap men grab at a bill before anyone sees the total. Vanessa, he said, tell him. Vanessa blinked. Tell him what? Tell him this little performance is sad. She looked at me. The old Vanessa would have done it. She would have used the soft, disappointed voice, the one that made me feel childish for wanting respect. This Vanessa saw Celeste sitting across from me, saw the helmet beside her, saw the cash Gavin had thrown like trash, and hesitated. That hesitation hurt Gavin more than a punch. Vanessa, Gavin said again. Before she answered, the diner door opened. A woman in a fitted coat stepped in, checked the room, and froze when she saw Gavin. She was older than the students near the counter, polished in a way that made Pier 9 look suddenly cheap around her. She looked at Vanessa, then at Gavin's hand still near the cash. Seriously? The woman said. Gavin turned. All his color went strange. Vanessa saw his face change and immediately understood there was a second story in the room. Gavin, Vanessa said, who is that? The woman laughed without humor. Ask him who he told me you were. The diner went quiet in a clean, hungry way. Gavin snapped, "This is not the place. It was the place when you told me you were taking your cousin to lunch," the woman said. She looked at Vanessa. "Are you the cousin?" Vanessa's mouth opened. No sound came out. The counterbalance system pulsed. Vanessa Bishop. Devotion score, 31 to 43. I did not plan that. I did not need to. Gavin had brought enough rope for everyone at the table. Celeste set her coffee down. This seat became popular quickly. Gavin pointed at the woman. "Leave." The woman stepped closer instead. "You left your jacket in my car this morning." Vanessa's face went white. Gavin grabbed the woman's wrist. "I said leave." That changed the whole room. Insults are cheap. Lies are common. But the moment his fingers tightened on her wrist, every witness stopped enjoying gossip and started measuring danger. The woman tried to pull free. "Gavin," Vanessa said, sharp now, "let go of her." He did not. The system flashed again. Vanessa Bishop, devotion score, 43 to 56. Gavin's eyes flicked toward the watchers. He realized too late that the cash, the second woman, and his hand on her wrist had built a stage where he was the only villain left standing. So he tried to make me the problem again. He shoved the woman away and turned on me. "This is because of you," he said. "Your schedule is my fault?" The line hit the students behind us. One of them laughed before he could stop himself. Gavin swung his arm toward the table. The cash scattered over the floor. A few bills slid under Celeste's shoes. Then Gavin reached for me. My strength had only started to wake up. I was still the guy who had carried Vanessa's groceries and called that romance. But I had one advantage Gavin did not expect. I had stopped being afraid of looking bad. When his hand came for my collar, I stood and drove the edge of the table into his thigh. He stumbled forward. I caught his wrist with both hands and pinned it flat against the tabletop. The coffee cup jumped. Gavin hissed. The woman he had grabbed back toward the counter. The waitress stepped in front of her without making a speech about it. Celeste stood too, slow and controlled. "You should stop." Gavin strained against my grip. "Get your hands off me." "I bought this seat with patience," I said. "You bought it with floor money. Guess which one cleared?" Vanessa stared at Gavin's pinned hand. Then she stared at mine. The system moved faster. Vanessa Bishop. Devotion score, 56 to 74. Gavin saw her watching me and lost whatever discipline money had taught him. He ripped his wrist free, stepped back, and raised his hand toward the woman in the coat again. That was the second mistake. The counterbalance system hit my vision like a clean blue flash. Vanessa Bishop. Devotion score, 74 to 95. Devotion lock triggered. Opening target reversal complete. Attribute points awarded. For one ridiculous second, I almost missed Gavin moving because the system was spilling power through my arms like heat under skin. Attribute, points available, strength, agility, stamina. I did not read the menu. I chose strength and agility because Gavin's hand was already moving. The world tightened. His swing looked slower. Not slow, just honest. I stepped between Gavin and the woman and caught his wrist with one hand this time. His knuckles stopped 6 inches from her face. The diner saw it. Gavin felt it. His eyes went wide. "What the hell?" he whispered. "Finally," I said, "a sincere question." I twisted his wrist down, hooked my foot behind his ankle, and drove him onto the diner floor. It was ugly and direct, hard enough that the floor answered for him. The cash jumped around his shoulder. A student near the window said, "Oh my God." The waitress said, "Call campus security." I looked at her. "No need if he leaves." Gavin tried to push up. His arm shook under my hand and failed. "You think this makes you strong?" he spat. "No," I said. "You on the floor does." The woman in the coat looked at Vanessa. For the record, he told me he was single. Vanessa did not answer her. She was staring at me like the world had cut out the old version and pasted a stranger in my place. The system pulsed again. Counterattack rebate unlocked. Personal balance updated. Attribute synchronization stable. The useful part was simple. The system had taken 3 years of humiliation and paid me in a body Gavin could not bully. Gavin stopped fighting. The diner manager came from the back and pointed toward the door. "Leave," the manager said to Gavin. "Now." That mattered more than the floor. A man like Gavin could explain away a shove. He could brag about a fight. He could not handle staff treating him like the disturbance. He stood slowly, fixing his jacket with a hand that would not stop trembling. Vanessa stepped away when he reached for her. He noticed. Everyone noticed. "Vanessa," Gavin said, low and warning. She looked at the cash on the floor. "You threw money at him. He embarrassed us. You embarrassed us." That was the first time I had ever heard Vanessa correct Gavin in public. The system had already locked her, but the line still landed as consequence. Gavin's face twisted. "You are choosing him now?" Vanessa looked at me, and for 1 second the room waited for a love story. "I killed it before it grew teeth." "Don't answer that like I am an option," I said. Vanessa flinched. Good. She had spent 3 years making me feel like a backup plan with legs. I was not going back into that role just because the system made her regret profitable. Gavin left first. The woman in the coat followed the manager to the counter to give a statement, but I did not stay to hear it. Process could wait. The result had already landed. The rich replacement had walked in with cash. He walked out with no table, no woman in control, and half the diner recording his back. Celeste picked up one bill from under her shoe and set it on the table. "Does he want his dignity with the refund?" she asked. I looked at the crumpled bill. "He did not bring enough." Celeste's mouth curved. The system pulsed over her. Celeste Monroe. Devotion score, 22 to 31. A protector beat was dangerous. It made greedy choices look noble if people did not read the receipt. Celeste read more than the receipt. She slid the crumpled bill toward me with 2 fingers. "Were you protecting her, punishing Gavin, or advertising?" "Yes." Her eyes narrowed. "That is a terrible answer," she said. "It is an accurate one." Inside the diner, the woman in the coat was speaking quietly to the manager. Vanessa stood near the door, watching me like she wanted to interrupt, but had no right answer prepared. The waitress kept collecting plates, and every time she crossed Gavin's abandoned cash on the floor, she stepped around it like trash she was not paid enough to touch. Celeste followed my gaze. "You enjoy making arrogant men small? They keep volunteering. And the women?" That question had teeth. I looked at Vanessa through the glass. "Some women used to make me small too," I said. "I am learning which ones deserve a door and which ones deserve a mirror." Celeste did not soften. She did not praise the line. She just took the spare helmet from the booth and placed it against her hip. "Do not confuse those," she said. "I am trying not to. Try faster." Celeste bothered me for one clean reason. Sierra tested my money. Vanessa tested my scars. Celeste tested whether I could stay useful without pretending I was clean. Before I could answer, Vanessa stepped closer to the door and looked at me through the glass. The begging part of the payoff had arrived. Vanessa read none of it. She stepped toward me as the diner noise returned around us. "Wyatt," she said. I did not answer. She tried again, softer. "Wyatt, can we talk outside?" Celeste looked at me, then at Vanessa. She did not claim me. She did not retreat either. The spare helmet sat on the booth like a quiet challenge. I followed Vanessa outside because some payoffs needed air. Pier 9 Diner's windows reflected half the room behind us. I could see Celeste inside, calm at the booth. I could see students still pretending not to film. I could see Vanessa standing in front of me with her pride cracked open. Vanessa hugged herself. "I did not know he was like that." "You knew enough." She swallowed. "I was angry when I blocked you." "You were in his car. I thought he could give me a life." "He gave you a card case." That one hit ugly. Her eyes filled fast, and I hated that I still recognized the exact breath before she cried. She stepped closer. "You changed," Vanessa said. "No, you stopped getting the discounted version." She reached for my sleeve again. This time I let her touch it for 1 second, just long enough for both of us to remember every night I had waited for smaller crumbs than this. Then I pulled my arm back. Her hand dropped. "Wyatt," she whispered, "I made a mistake." The system was silent. The devotion lock had already done its job. This part was not math anymore. That made it cleaner. "You made a choice," I said. "Mistake sounds too innocent." She wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. "Can we start over?" I almost laughed. The laugh came from the old me, the one who had begged for that sentence without knowing it would disgust me when it finally arrived. "No," I said. Vanessa stared. I said it again because the first time looked like it had not fit into her world. "No," her face crumpled. "I spent 3 years trying to earn a place beside you," I said. "You made me audition for basic decency. Gavin failed one lunch and you remembered my name. That is not fair." Neither was the audition. She covered her mouth. Behind the diner glass, Celeste had stood from the booth. Sierra Lane's name appeared on my phone at the same time, a message preview lighting up over the system screen. "Sierra," her Gavin got folded at Pier 9. "Please, tell me the floor tipped." "Even after all that?" I smiled. Vanessa saw the smile and understood it was not for her. Her devotion lock had closed the first wound. It did not erase the scar. It did something more useful. It made me immune to the old script. I walked back inside. Celeste was holding the helmets. "Are we leaving?" she asked. "Yes." She glanced toward Vanessa through the glass. "Is she coming?" "No." Celeste handed me my helmet first. That small order mattered. Instead of checking my damage or treating me like a victim, she gave me the thing that meant movement. We rode back to campus without talking much. My hands felt different around the scooter grips. Stronger, steadier. The system had not turned me into a superhero. It had turned one old humiliation into a warning label. Do not grab what Wyatt Locke is protecting. The next morning, I woke to knocking. Not one knock. 3. My dorm hallway was full of voices, paper bags, perfume, and the kind of tension that makes men open doors slowly. I pulled the door open. Vanessa stood there holding a breakfast box with both hands. Sierra Lane stood beside her with a takeout bag, one eyebrow raised like she had arrived to collect entertainment. Celeste Monroe stood on the other side with a plain thermos and my spare helmet hooked over her wrist. The women looked at one another. Then, they looked at me. The system did not even need to ding. Breakfast had become a battlefield. 3 women stood outside my dorm room with breakfast like they had all been invited to the same funeral and decided to compete over the flowers. Vanessa Bishop held a neat white box from a nice cafe near campus. The ribbon alone looked more apologetic than she had been for 3 years. Sierra Lane held a takeout bag so large it sagged in the middle. Grease marked the paper. She looked proud of that. Celeste Monroe held a plain thermos, a paper-wrapped bowl, and my spare helmet. The hallway went quiet behind them. 2 guys from my floor stopped pretending they were tying their shoes. A girl carrying laundry slowed down so hard one sock fell out of her basket. Yesterday, Gavin Trent had thrown cash at my table. This morning, women were blocking my door with breakfast. The counterbalance system did not make a sound. It did not need to. The whole hallway was the notification. Vanessa spoke first because regret hates silence. "Wyatt," she said, holding out the box, "I brought breakfast. You used to like the croissants from that place near Cedar Point Mall." I looked at the box. I had bought her those croissants. She had eaten them while I drank tap water from a campus fountain and told myself being useful was close enough to being loved. Sierra glanced at the ribbon and snorted. "A croissant apology. Bold, light, flaky, and gone in 4 bites." Vanessa's eyes sharpened. "At least mine came from an actual cafe." Sierra lifted her takeout bag. "Mine came from volume. Men who got thrown into emotional traffic need calories." "You mean grease?" Vanessa said. "I mean survival," Sierra replied. "You should try feeding someone before replacing him." The laundry girl stopped even pretending to move. Celeste did not enter the argument. That made me look at her first. She noticed. Of course she did. "I brought broth," Celeste said. "Spicy, no onions, extra egg. The diner waitress said you picked onions out of your lunch before Gavin ruined the table." The hallway shifted. Sierra looked at the thermos. Vanessa looked at me. I looked at Celeste. She had noticed a detail from a meal we barely finished. That hit harder than the cafe ribbon and the giant bag combined. For 3 years, Vanessa knew what flowers she liked, what drinks she wanted, what deadline she had forgotten, what coat she expected me to carry. She did not know how I ordered food unless she had ordered it for herself first. Celeste had watched once. Then she brought the right bowl. The system pulsed. Celeste Monroe. Devotion score, 31 to 39. Sierra saw my face and immediately hated the scoreboard she could not see. "Fine," Sierra said. "The goddess wins the detective round. But does her broth come with hash browns? No. Does it come with enough biscuits to repair a man's soul? Also no." Vanessa stepped closer. "Wyatt, can I come in?" Every head in the hallway turned toward me. The real game was rank. If I let Vanessa into the room first, she became the ex who returned and reclaimed territory. If I let Sierra in first, the hallway would turn it into a materialist victory. If I let Celeste in first, both of them would bleed. I took the thermos from Celeste. Vanessa's face tightened. Sierra clicked her tongue. Then, I took Sierra's giant bag with my other hand. Sierra's expression recovered instantly. "Balanced diet." Then I looked at Vanessa's box. She held it out with both hands. I did not take it. "Set it on the common table," I said. "Anyone on the floor can eat." Vanessa froze. The 2 guys by the stairs reacted before she did. One whispered, "Free croissants?" Sierra covered a laugh badly. Vanessa's eyes went bright. "You are giving away my apology?" "I am sharing breakfast," I said. "That's what you brought, right?" She had no clean answer. Celeste looked down at the thermos in my hand, then back at Vanessa. "Breakfast without knowing his taste is just noise." Vanessa heard the insult because it did not need her name attached. The hallway heard it too. Celeste Monroe did not raise her voice. She did not smirk. She simply placed the knife exactly where the wound already was. The system pulsed. Celeste Monroe. Devotion score, 39 to 44. Sierra leaned closer to me and murmured, "I hate when quiet girls stab better." "Then stab cheaper," I said. "Impossible. I have brand standards." Her devotion score ticked. Sierra Lane. Devotion score, 59 to 61. The breakfast war could have ended there if people were reasonable. Nobody at my door was reasonable. Vanessa stepped into the room without permission and placed her box on my desk like she was reclaiming a shrine. Sierra slipped past her and set the giant takeout bag on my bed. Celeste stayed at the doorway until I moved aside. That made her dangerous. She made permission feel like respect instead of weakness. Inside, my dorm room looked exactly like a broke man's room should look, after a miracle had not yet bothered with furniture. Thin blanket, worn desk chair, old laptop, phone charger repaired with tape. One clean shirt hanging from the closet door because the rest were in a laundry bag I had ignored for 2 days. Vanessa saw the room and softened in the wrong way. "You still live like this," she said. Sierra shot back, "Careful, pity is not a condiment." Celeste walked to my desk, picked up my phone and turned it once in her hand. The cracked corner caught the light. "This dies quickly?" she asked me. "It survives out of spite. That is not a battery strategy." She reached into her bag and pulled out a sealed box. A new phone, clean, black, expensive enough that the 2 hallway guys made a sound from the doorway. Vanessa stared. "You bought him a phone?" Celeste set it on my desk. "He runs Black Cat Live from a cracked screen. That is inefficient." Sierra crossed her arms. "So your gift is a business insult." "Useful gifts survive longer than dramatic ones," Celeste said. I looked at the phone, then at Celeste. "I didn't ask." "That is why I brought it," she said. The line should have annoyed me. It did the opposite. For 2 days, I had been using money like a bat. Celeste had just used attention like a blade. The system pulsed again. Celeste Monroe. Devotion score, 44 to 52. Vanessa stepped toward the desk. "Wyatt, I know I hurt you. I was stupid. I can make it right." Sierra pointed at the phone box. "Can you make his screen uncracked? Because the goddess already moved." Vanessa ignored her. "I know things about you too." I looked at her. "Name one thing I like that you never asked me for." Her mouth opened. Nothing useful came out. The room did not need a crowd reaction. Her silence did the work. I picked up the thermos, opened it, and the smell of spicy broth filled the room. One of the guys at the door whispered, "That smells insane." Sierra said, "Touch it and I charge you emotional damages." Celeste handed me the paper bowl. I ate 1 bite. It was exactly right. Vanessa looked away first. That should have been the end of the morning. Instead, the system did what it always did. It took one messy human moment and turned it into a spending opportunity. Celeste's phone buzzed. She checked the screen and frowned. "Black Cat Live is asking about a student performance room," she said. "After last night, they want more campus music events. They want me on camera again." Sierra's eyebrows went up. "The platform wants the quiet girl because the whale made her expensive." Celeste looked at me. "I will not beg donors on stream." "Good," I said. "Then I need a room where the performance does not feel like a sales booth." There it was, a status problem with a human face. The request had a human face. A woman who refused to beg needed a stage that did not make her beg. I checked the counterbalance wallet. Still stupid. Still waiting. "What kind of room?" I asked. Celeste studied me. "Quiet. Good light. Space for a piano. No dorm noise. No boys outside pretending to study." One of the guys in the doorway straightened like he had been personally attacked. I opened a property listing I had saved the night before for no mature reason except that being rich had made my curiosity expensive. Riverside Estates, lake house, private practice room, glass back wall, enough space to turn silence into status. I showed Celeste the photos. She stared longer than she wanted to. Sierra came around my shoulder. "That is not a room. That is a rich person's apology to water." Vanessa's voice went small. "You are looking at houses now?" "A room with walls is often called a house," I said. Celeste's eyes did not leave the screen. "This is excessive. You asked for quiet." "I meant a reserved campus room. Reserved rooms come with clipboard men telling you to smile." That landed. She looked at me. I tapped the contact button on the listing. I made the boring part bleed straight into consequence. Within 10 minutes, a seller at Riverside Estates called back. Within 20, a private viewing link showed the key box, the piano room, and the lake behind the glass. The seller said over speaker, "If the buyer can close with immediate funds, we can release access today." Celeste's expression turned sharp. "Wyatt." "Yes? Do not turn my work into a cage." That was fair enough to deserve a real answer. "I am not buying you," I said. "I am buying the room so nobody else gets to price your dignity." Vanessa looked like the sentence had slapped her without touching her. Sierra watched Celeste carefully. For once, she did not joke. Celeste's voice lowered. "Whose name?" "Yours." Vanessa stopped breathing for a beat. Sierra's eyes widened. Celeste went completely still. "That is insane," Celeste said. "Probably. I could sell it." "Then you are bad at owning lake houses." "I could refuse it." "Then I will call the seller and buy a louder one for Sierra." Sierra lifted one finger. "I support this threat." Celeste's mouth almost smiled. "Almost." I told the seller, "Put the Riverside Estates Lake House under Celeste Monroe's name. Release the key today. Also, I need a crystal piano delivery slot for the music room." Celeste actually blinked at that. "A what?" Sierra said. "A crystal piano," I said. "If Black Cat Live wants a campus music myth, let them film one that looks expensive enough to make Lacey Pratt choke." Sierra's grin came back. "I take back several insults. Not all. Several." The seller asked for confirmation of funds. I tapped the black card through the secure payment prompt. Approved. The sound from my phone was small. The silence after it was enormous. Then Celeste's phone buzzed. She looked down. An access code had arrived under her name. The result came clean. A door at Riverside Estates opening because her name had replaced the seller's on the screen. Sierra leaned over Celeste's shoulder and read it before Celeste could hide the phone. That is a key code, Sierra said. Temporary access, Celeste said, but her voice had lost its usual straight edge. Temporary access to a lake house, Sierra said. Rich people say temporary like it makes theft sound polite. Vanessa stared at the message as if one line of text had done what 3 years of dating had not. It had put my money under another woman's name without asking Vanessa to approve the feeling. The hallway guys had crept back to the doorway. One of them saw the Riverside Estates photo still on my laptop and whispered, "That place has a private dock." Celeste heard him and closed the laptop halfway. I opened it again. "Let them see," I said. She looked at me. "Why?" "Because hiding makes generous things look dirty." Sierra pointed at me. That was almost emotionally healthy. I hated it. A knock hit the open door frame before Celeste could answer. A courier stood in the hall with a slim envelope and a tablet. He looked from the 3 women to me, then wisely decided questions were above his pay. "Delivery for Celeste Monroe," he said. Celeste did not move. Sierra nudged her. "If you faint, I am stealing your lake." Celeste took the envelope and signed the tablet. Inside was a metal key, a glossy card with the Riverside Estates gate code, and a printed delivery note for the crystal piano slot I had added like an idiot with a myth budget. The key was the real damage. A phone screen could be dismissed as a stunt. A key had weight. It made the air around Celeste heavier. It made Sierra stop joking for 3 full seconds. It made Vanessa look at the breakfast box she had brought like the ribbon had betrayed her. Celeste held the key flat on her palm. "This is too much," she said. "Then use it well," I said. The system pulsed. Celeste Monroe, devotion score, 52 to 68. Counterbalance, wallet remaining, still too much for my nervous system to respect. Celeste sat slowly in my desk chair, her hand on the phone box she had brought me. Her control slipped enough to show the girl under the campus goddess. "Why would you trust me with that?" she asked. "Because you asked whether you were a person or a weapon," I said. "Weapons do not get keys. People do." That was almost too noble, so I fixed it before the room got the wrong idea. "Also, if your devotion score climbs, I profit." Sierra slapped my shoulder. "There he is." Celeste laughed once, quiet and unwilling. The system pulsed again. "Celeste Monroe, devotion score, 68 to 72. Vanessa turned toward the door. Her breakfast box still sat untouched on the common table outside, and someone had already opened it. She saw the hallway guys eating her apology and looked like the universe had chosen violence with pastry crumbs. "Wyatt," she said softly, "was anything I gave you ever enough?" That question wanted me to comfort her. "I did not. You gave me things after I begged," I said. "Celeste brought broth after watching once." Vanessa left before the sentence could finish hurting. Sierra watched her go, then looked at Celeste's new phone box on my desk, the lake house listing on my screen, and the takeout bag on my bed. "So breakfast ranking is over?" Sierra asked. "For today? And I lost?" Celeste answered before I could. "You brought enough food for a floor. That is useful." Sierra narrowed her eyes. "Do not compliment me politely. It feels hostile." Celeste stood and picked up her thermos. "Then improve." Sierra stared at her. I did not know it then, but that line stayed with Sierra longer than the bag, the store card, or even the jealousy. Sierra liked being wanted. Celeste had made her want to be necessary. That was more dangerous. The morning broke apart after that. Celeste left with the key code to a lake house under her name and a phone message from Black Cat Live, asking when she wanted to stream again. Sierra took half the breakfast bag to the art studio and acted as if she had not watched Celeste win the whole room. Vanessa disappeared down the hallway before her pride could leak any further. I spent the afternoon doing what rich idiots do when they should rest. I looked at the system screen and pretended numbers that large were normal. Celeste sent one photo at sunset. The Riverside Estates lake house stood against the water, all glass and quiet light. In the empty music room, she had placed my spare helmet on the floor where the crystal piano would go. Her message said, "It starts with a room. It does not become a cage." I replied, "Then keep the door unlocked for people who deserve music." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No answer. The system still moved. Celeste Monroe, devotion score, 72 to 74. Women who did not beg were the problem. Their silence cost more. At night, Sierra called me. Not texted, called. When I answered, her voice had lost every sharp edge. "Wyatt," Sierra said, "are you on campus?" "Yes." "Don't joke." I sat up. Behind her, I heard arcade machines, then a crash, then a man's voice telling someone to stop hiding behind a daughter. "Sierra," I said, "where are you?" She tried to laugh and failed. "My father's arcade." Another crash hit the line. A man shouted, "Either she signs or we take the machines tonight." Sierra's breathing shook. "I thought it was just debt," she said. "They came in person." The girl who had treated a designer bag like a trophy sounded smaller than the receipt in her pocket. The system highlighted her profile. Sierra Lane, devotion score, 61. Eligible. High-pressure rescue event detected. For 2 seconds, I looked at the screen and saw exactly what the old me would have done. He would have panicked, called someone else, asked permission from fear, and arrived too late. New me grabbed the black card, the cracked old phone, and the strength in my hands that Gavin had taught me to trust. "Stay where I can hear you," I told Sierra. "Wyatt, there are 3 of them. Then they should have brought breakfast." I was already out the door before she understood the joke was only there to keep her breathing. The next question was ugly and simple. Was Sierra Lane just my first spending target, or was she under my protection now? Sierra Lane stayed on the phone while I crossed campus toward her father's arcade. She tried to sound bored. She failed so badly I almost respected the effort. "They are just collectors," she said. "Cheap suits, big mouths. One of them keeps kicking the prize machine like it owes him child support." Another crash cut through the call. Then a man's voice barked, "Sign it or we empty the place." Sierra went silent. "Sierra," I said, "talk." Her voice came back smaller. "They want me to sign over the machines. My dad used my name on a loan. I did not know how bad it was." There it was. The situation had grown past shopping tests, jokes, and girls raising the price to see if my card bled. Fear. The counterbalance system pulsed. Sierra Lane, devotion score, 61. High-pressure rescue event active. I put the phone on speaker and kept moving. "How many?" I asked. 3. "Any weapons?" "One has a crowbar. Tell him that is embarrassing." "Wyatt." "Fine. Don't tell him until I arrive." She made one tiny breath that almost became a laugh. That was enough. People who can laugh while scared still have a hand on the door. The arcade sat off a side street near campus, wedged between a closed pizza place and a laundromat. Its neon sign buzzed unevenly. Inside, the machines flashed like they were trying to pretend nobody was being threatened under their lights. I walked in through the front door. The first debt collector had one hand on a prize machine. The second held a clipboard with Sierra's signature line circled. The third stood near an older man behind the counter, blocking him from moving. Sierra stood beside the token machine with her phone clutched in one hand. She saw me, and her face did something she hated. It showed relief before pride could stop it. The first collector looked me over. Hoodie, old shoes, empty hands. He smiled. "You the boyfriend?" he asked. "Depends on the invoice." Sierra's eyes widened like she could not believe I had chosen that as my entrance line. The second collector waved the clipboard. "This is family business. Then why is she shaking?" The older man behind the counter said, "Wyatt, you should go." Sierra turned on him. "Dad, no!" I did not need his name. I did not need his life story. The debt had already done enough exposition with one crowbar and Sierra's face. The first collector tapped the prize machine again. "Her father owes," she co-signed. "We take machines or she signs the settlement." I looked at the circled signature line. "How much?" The second collector smirked. "More than you can borrow. Try a number. Make it humiliating." He named one. It was ugly for an arcade. It was a rounding error for the counterbalance wallet. The system pulsed. "Eligible spend route, Sierra Lane personal liability." The collector saw me check my phone and laughed. "Calling your mom?" "No," I said, "checking if you are worth a swipe." Sierra whispered, "Wyatt, don't. This is not a bag. I know." I stepped to the counter and tapped the black card against the payment terminal before the second collector could finish laughing. "Approved!" The arcade machines kept blinking. The 3 collectors stopped moving. The older man behind the counter stared at the terminal like it had performed surgery. Sierra looked from the screen to me. Her devotion score jumped, 61 to 76. The first collector recovered first because stupid pride hates cleared debt. "That covers the paper," he said, "not the trouble." He lifted the crowbar and tapped it against the prize machine glass. That was his mistake. Money solved the debt. His hand created the consequence. I stepped between him and the machine. "Break it and I buy the arcade under Sierra's name. Then I charge you rent for standing." The second collector pointed at me. "You think paying makes you tough?" "No," I said. "Gavin tried that yesterday. It made him horizontal." Sierra's eyes flicked to me. She had heard the gossip. Now she was close enough to see whether it was true. The first collector swung the crowbar toward the prize machine. I caught his wrist before metal touched glass. The strength from the diner was still there, warmer now, easier to find. His arm shook. Mine did not. His smile cracked. "Let go," he said. I squeezed. The crowbar dropped onto the token sticky carpet. The sound was pathetic. I picked it up with my free hand and set it gently on the counter. There, I said. Even your weapon understands customer service. Sierra made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. The third collector came at me from the side. I saw him late. The old me would have eaten the hit and apologized for the dental bill. The new me moved. I drove my shoulder into his chest and sent him crashing backward through a rack of plush prizes. Stuffed toys rained over his shoulders while he tried to breathe. The arcade made the most insulting sound possible. A jackpot machine started cheering. Sierra laughed for real this time. The system pulsed. Sierra Lane. Devotion score, 76 to 88. The second collector looked at the crowbar, the terminal, his friend under a pile of plush toys, and the door. That was a smart order. He chose the door. The first collector grabbed his wrist and backed away. This is not over. It is, I said. You just want a sequel. They left without the machines, without the signature, and without the cheap suit confidence they had brought in. The older man behind the counter sank onto a stool. Sierra did not go to him first. She came to me. For a second, she looked like she wanted to say something sharp enough to protect herself from gratitude. Then she looked at the payment terminal, then at the pile of plush toys, then at my hand, still steady. You paid it, she said. It had your name on it. You hit him. He had a crowbar. You made a joke while he had a crowbar. I did not want him to feel underdressed. Sierra tried to smile. Her mouth shook instead. Sierra Lane let fear finish existing in front of me. The counterbalance system flashed. Sierra Lane. Devotion score, 88 to 95. Devotion. Lock triggered. Counterattack rebate unlocked. Attribute points awarded. Skill module available. The arcade lights blurred for half a second. Money had bought attention. Devotion. Lock bought danger. The system pushed new strength through my legs, cleaner agility through my balance, and one strange packet of chord awareness into my head like I had been watching games for years instead of avoiding gym humiliation. Sierra wiped her cheek with the heel of her hand before a tear could embarrass her. Do not look proud, she said. Of rescuing you? Of being right. I am proud of both. She punched my arm lightly. Then she hugged me hard enough to make the old me go stupid. I did not hug her like a hero. I did not make a speech. I put one hand on the back of her head and let her shake for 3 breaths. Then my phone buzzed. Because peace had terrible timing. A campus notification showed a clip from outside the arcade already spreading. Someone through the laundromat window had filmed the collectors leaving and me standing in the doorway with Sierra behind me. The caption read, Midnight Whale thinks he is a bodyguard now. Under it, Pierce Holt had commented from his verified campus athlete profile. Wallet with legs. Put him on a court and he folds. Sierra pulled back and read it over my shoulder. Pierce Holt is an idiot, she said. Useful idiot? Very. He is loud, pretty, and allergic to losing. Another notification hit. Pierce had posted again. Charity game at Riverton Arena tonight. Let the whale prove he can move without buying the floor. The system highlighted the words, competence pressure detected. Sierra looked at me. You're not actually going? I looked at the attribute points screen still glowing behind the notification. He invited me to a public refund. Riverton Arena was full by evening because rich students love charity when it comes with cameras and a reason to judge poor people in sneakers. Pierce Holt stood at center court in a clean warm-up jacket, smiling at the crowd like he had already edited the clip of me missing. He was taller than me, stronger than old me, better trained than old me. He had the kind of confidence that came from coaches, mirrors, and never having to wonder if dinner money was romantic. The referee beside him kept laughing at Pierce's jokes. That told me everything. Celeste sat near the front with her arms folded. She had not asked me to play. She had only sent one message before I arrived. Do not let him turn rescue into comedy. Sierra stood beside her, still pale from the arcade but angry enough to use as lighting. Vanessa sat 2 rows back. I did not invite her. Regret travels without tickets. Pierce saw me enter and raised both hands to the crowd. He came, Pierce shouted. Somebody check if the floor takes black cards. The crowd laughed. I stepped onto the court. Does the scoreboard take humiliation? I asked. Pierce's smile sharpened. We will find out. He walked closer and lowered his voice just enough to pretend it was private while the front row still heard every word. You know why I picked basketball? Pierce asked. Because chess has too much reading? The front row reacted. His smile tightened. Because on a court, nobody cares how many girls you bought breakfast for. You run, you jump, you get exposed. He pointed toward the seats where Sierra and Celeste stood together. And after this, Pierce said, louder now, maybe your little fan club remembers rich does not mean useful. Sierra lifted both hands. I literally watched him throw a man through plush toys today. The laugh that followed did not help Pierce. Celeste did not raise her voice. Pierce, if this is your confidence, protect it better. That line cut cleaner than a whistle. Pierce looked at Celeste like he had expected her to stay decorative. Then he saw Vanessa 2 rows back. "Even your ex came," Pierce said to me. "That is sweet. She can watch the old Wyatt come back." Vanessa did not smile. She said, clear enough for nearby phones to catch, the old Wyatt would not have shown up. The arena shifted before the ball even moved. Pierce had tried to use the women as props. They answered like witnesses against him. The referee tossed me a jersey and leaned close enough for only me to hear. "No hero stuff," the referee said. "This is Pierce's event. Make a few jokes, miss a few shots, everybody wins." I looked at him. "You said that out loud?" His face tightened. I turned toward the crowd and lifted my voice. "The referee says I should miss on purpose. Does that count as charity?" The laugh that hit the arena did not belong to Pierce anymore. His eyes went flat. "Good. Villains are easiest to beat after they double down in public." The game started with Pierce stealing the first pass and dunking hard enough to make the crowd roar. He pointed at me while hanging off the rim. "Still time to sponsor the bench," Pierce said. The scoreboard flashed. "Pierce's team, 2! My side, 0. The referee swallowed his whistle on the next foul. Pierce shoved me with one shoulder, and the crowd laughed when I stumbled. Old me would have heard Vanessa's voice in that laugh. New me heard rhythm. The skill module did not make me a professional. It made every bad angle obvious. Pierce leaned too much on pride. The referee watched my hands and ignored his elbows. The crowd expected me to buy my way out, so I did the one thing none of them priced. I played. Pierce drove left. I stepped in early and stole the ball clean before he finished smirking. The arena sound broke. I crossed half court, heard the referee's whistle start before he invented a reason, and jumped. For one suspended second, I saw the rim like a payment terminal. Then I dunked. The scoreboard tied. Sierra screamed first. It was a full, ugly, victorious noise that made Celeste look at her and almost smile. Pierce grabbed the ball. "Lucky!" "Then guard luck," I said. He tried. I stole it again. This time I passed behind my back to a player on my side who had not expected to matter. He scored because Pierce had pulled 2 defenders toward me. The scoreboard moved. The crowd changed. The real humiliation came after the dunk and the steal. The crowd started expecting me to do something interesting, and Pierce felt his event slipping out of his hands. He shoved harder on the next play. The referee called the foul on me. Pierce smiled. "Told you. Wallet with legs." I walked to the referee and held out my hands. "Call it again." "Back up," the referee said. "No. Call the next fake one louder. I want the phones to catch your confidence." The student section made a low sound. Phones lifted. The referee's whistle stayed at his lips and did not move. Pierce understood the danger first. "Play ball." "Now you like rules?" I asked. He charged at me. I let him. At the last second, I moved sideways. He overran the lane, collided with his own teammate, and dropped to one knee while the ball rolled loose. I picked it up. No rush. No panic. I dribbled once, twice, waited for Pierce to stand, then shot from the three-point line. The ball dropped clean. The scoreboard flashed. The crowd roared for me. Pierce's face turned red. Celeste stood. Sierra jumped like the floor owed her money. Vanessa covered her mouth, but her eyes were not on Pierce. They were on the man she used to make wait outside classrooms with coffee. Pierce called a timeout he did not need just to stop the bleeding. He walked past me and muttered, "You bought someone to train you." "No," I said. "You trained for years and still priced me wrong." He heard it. So did the camera beside us. After that, the game got ugly. The referee tried 2 more cheap calls. The crowd booed him both times before I could speak. Pierce tried to isolate me, then doubled me, then fouled me. Each new trick made the last one look smaller. By the final minute, the scoreboard did not need mercy. My side led by 18. Pierce had stopped smiling. I had not started. With 10 seconds left, he came at me one more time. No play, no pass, just ego with shoes. He lowered his shoulder. I stole the ball, spun behind him, and left him grabbing air. Then I stopped at the free throw line. The crowd expected another dunk. Pierce expected it too. He turned under the rim, ready to contest a highlight. I shot from where I stood. The ball arced over him, clean and quiet. Buzzer, scoreboard, win! For 1 second, Pierce Holt stood under the basket while the entire arena cheered the man he had invited to be a joke. The payoff landed there. Then the consequence arrived. The referee walked toward Pierce, but not to comfort him. He pulled off his whistle and left it on the scorer's table. The crowd had turned too loudly for him to keep pretending he was neutral. Pierce saw the whistle on the table and looked like someone had taken his title without paperwork. Sierra reached me first at the sideline. "Wallet with legs?" she shouted toward Pierce. "Looks like the wallet came with ankles, knees, and public shame." Celeste stopped beside her and said, "Do not over-explain the victory." Sierra pointed at Pierce. "I am seasoning it." I took a towel from the bench and looked at Pierce. "Good event," I said. "Very charitable. You donated your reputation." Someone in the student section repeated the line, and Pierce heard his own crowd laugh hard at him before he could leave. The clip went live before I left the arena. First, the dunk, then the fake foul challenge. Then Pierce under the rim while my last shot dropped. For an hour, campus loved me. Then Pierce did what losers do when the public arena fails. He changed the battlefield. Near midnight, a new post hit the campus feed. This one did not show the scoreboard. It showed Sierra hugging me after the arcade, Celeste walking beside me outside the dorm, and Vanessa crying outside Pier 9 Diner. The caption read, "Midnight Whale targets women after they break down." Pierce Holt reposted it. Then another approved name appeared under his post. Wes Dobbs, old classmate, old mouth, same cheap instinct. Wes wrote, "I knew Wyatt before the money. This is what he does, plays victim, buys sympathy, then collects girls." The comments turned ugly fast because people love a winner until someone gives them permission to feel righteous. Sierra called me immediately. "Say the word," she said. "I will bury him with screenshots." "No screenshots, Wyatt." "No investigation," I said. "No essay, no committee. We make him stand in a room and lose something he cares about." Celeste messaged next. "Pierce is trying to turn women into evidence. Do not let him." I looked at the message, then at the viral smear. She was right. If I answered with receipts, I would be playing their game. If I answered with a stronger human consequence, they would have to survive mine. Before I could choose the next move, my phone rang. Benji Ortiz. I had not heard his voice all week. When I answered, he sounded like he had been punched somewhere. "Pride does not bruise." "Wyatt," Benji said, "I need help." Behind him, a girl laughed. A man's voice said something I could not make out, but I heard enough cruelty in the tone. Benji swallowed hard. "I caught her cheating," he said, "and she said I was too broke to be angry." The smear post glowed on my screen. Pierce and Wes wanted to call me a predator. Benji had just handed me a cleaner answer. I looked at the counterbalance wallet, at the new attribute points humming under my skin, and at the campus feed trying to turn my rescues into crimes. "Stay there," I told Benji. "What are you going to do?" I smiled for the first time since the post went live. "Teach her the difference between broke and patient." Benji sent me his location before the girl's laugh stopped. The campus smear was still glowing on my phone. Pierce Holt had clipped every woman near me into one ugly little story, and Wes Dobbs had crawled out of my old life to certify it like a man who thought knowing me broke made him an expert forever. Then Benji Ortiz called from a parking lot behind the copper room and said his girlfriend had cheated. Not just cheated. She had made him stand there while the other man leaned against a borrowed sports car and laughed. "You are too broke to be angry," she told him. "I heard it through the phone." That line made my choice simple. Benji had been one of the few people who did not treat my poverty like a smell. He had split cheap noodles with me, lied to landlords for me, and once walked 2 miles in the rain because I used my bus money on Vanessa's birthday gift. Pierce and Wes wanted to say I hunted broken women. Fine, I would answer by helping the one loyal man who had never hunted me. "Do not leave," I told Benji. He breathed hard. "Wyatt, she is recording." "Good," I said. "Hold the camera steady for her." I could not spend the women-only counterbalance wallet on Benji. That rule still sat in my life like a loaded trap. But the devotion locks had already paid me back in personal balance, and personal balance did not care whether revenge wore lipstick. I called Vantage Row Imports. The sales manager answered on the second ring because money had fixed my relationship with business hours. "Mr. Locke, I need 6 Ferraris, clean keys, and drivers who understand silence." There was a pause. Then he said, "For tonight? For 20 minutes from now? That is difficult. Then make it expensive." He understood faster after that. By the time I reached the copper room lot, Benji stood near the trash enclosure with both hands clenched at his sides. His girlfriend stood under a yellow light beside a man in a blazer too tight across the shoulders. The blazer guy had one foot propped on the tire of a red car like he owned both the vehicle and the air around it. He did not. I knew fake confidence when I saw it. I had been forced to respect enough of it. Benji saw me and tried to fix his face. That hurt worse than the girl. He was embarrassed in front of me. "This is your backup?" the girlfriend said. She looked at my jacket, then at Benji. "You called another broke guy?" The blazer guy laughed. "That is tragic." I looked at the car. "Rental?" I asked. His smile sharpened. "Jealous? No. Curious why you posed with the cheapest flex in the lot." The girl's mouth twitched. She wanted to laugh, but she was still checking my shoes to decide whether I deserved sound. Benji muttered, "Wyatt, forget it." I turned to him. "Do you want her back?" His eyes flicked to her. She rolled hers like the answer belonged to her. Benji swallowed. "No." The girlfriend's face changed. The first small payoff was not money or cars. It was Benji saying no before she could reject him again. I nodded. "Good. Then do not pick up trash twice." "Excuse me?" she snapped. Before I answered, the first engine note entered the lot. One red Ferrari came around the corner, low and bright under the streetlights, then a white one, then two black ones, then two more in a row, each with Vantage Road temporary plates and a driver stepping out in a dark suit. The copper room lot stopped pretending not to watch. The girlfriend's lips parted. The blazer guy pulled his foot off the tire of his rental like it had become infected. The Vantage Row manager stepped out of the lead car and walked straight past the blazer guy to me. "Mr. Locke," he said, holding out an envelope of keys, "we brought the available lineup. The remaining two are being detailed." The girlfriend looked from him to me, then to Benji, then back to the cars. The human brain is funny. It can ignore loyalty for years, but one expensive engine can teach it religion in 3 seconds. "Benji," I said, "pick one." He stared at me. "Are you insane? Not for free?" The manager opened the nearest door. Benji did not move. The girlfriend moved first. "Wait," she said. That word had a taste. It was the same word Vanessa had tried to use outside Astor and Birch. The same shape, the same panic. Wait meant the poor version was useful again now that the rich version had arrived. Benji heard it too. He looked at her for one long second, then took the key from the manager. "I like the black one," he said. The girl stepped toward him. "Benji, I did not mean it like that. You said I was too broke to be angry. I was upset. You were entertained." That line did more damage than my cars. The blazer guy tried to recover. Anyone can stage a few rentals. The manager turned to him with the cold patience of a man protecting a sale larger than his pride. "Sir, please do not touch our client's vehicles." "Your client?" the girlfriend whispered. I pointed at Benji. "For tonight, him." Benji's shoulders lifted. Not swagger, something cleaner. He stood like a person whose shame had been returned to the sender. The girlfriend stared at him like she had missed a sale. "Benji," she said softly, trying the voice people use when they realize witnesses have upgraded, "you did not tell me your friend was like this." Benji looked at her. "You did not ask about my friends. I was angry. You were posing." The blazer guy stepped closer, still trying to rescue his rented evening. "This is pathetic. He needed another man's cars to feel big." I looked at Benji. "Does he know who paid for his rental?" Benji blinked. "What?" The girlfriend's face tightened. There it was, a tiny pressure point with makeup on it. The blazer guy turned. "What did you say?" She did not answer fast enough. Benji saw it. He laughed once, but it had no humor in it. "You pay for his car?" "It was complicated," she said. "No," Benji said. "It just got simple." The second useful payoff landed next. The cheating was not romance. It was financing with perfume. The blazer guy pointed at me. "You do not know anything. I know you leaned on a car your date paid for while calling her boyfriend broke," I said. "That is not villainy. That is budget theater." The people near the copper room entrance laughed louder this time. The blazer guy looked at the rental like it had betrayed him. His girlfriend reached for his sleeve. He stepped back. "Don't," he said. She tried anyway. "Benji, please, we can talk." "We did talk," he said. "You laughed." People had gathered near the copper room entrance now. Phones came up. The girlfriend noticed the cameras and tried to soften her voice. "I made a mistake." I looked at Benji. A mistake is sending the wrong emoji. This was a whole evening. Someone near the entrance laughed. The girlfriend's eyes filled, but not with love, with math. Benji saw it and finally smiled. "Thanks for showing me," he said to her. Then he got into the black Ferrari. The engine started, and his ex flinched like the sound had slapped her. I leaned down near the open window. "Drive around once," I told him. "Slowly. Let the lesson receive oxygen." Benji laughed once, broken and bright, then pulled out behind the lead car. The convoy rolled through the lot at a crawl. His ex followed 3 steps, then stopped because every phone in the lot was catching the exact image she deserved. The man she called too broke driving away while the man she cheated with stood beside a rented car and said nothing. When Benji looped back, she tried one more angle. She wiped under one eye and turned toward the phones. "I am scared," she said. Benji's hands tightened on the wheel. She had found the line that could ruin him if I let it stand alone. People who cheat badly learn victim vocabulary fast. I walked beside the open window and spoke clearly enough for the nearest phones. "Benji has not touched you. He has not threatened you. He asked one question, you answered with a lie, and now he is leaving with his own dignity." She glared at me. "This is none of your business. You made it public when you laughed." Benji looked at her through the windshield. "I am not scared of you," he said. "I am embarrassed I ever defended you." That hit harder than anger. The crying stopped for half a second. "Benji," she whispered. He shook his head. "No, keep the guy, return the car, lose my number." The manager leaned toward me and asked, "Should we keep the passenger authorization open?" I looked at Benji. He said, "Delete it." The manager nodded once. One tiny administrative sentence, and the relationship ended cleaner than months of begging could have done. Benji, standing taller, answered Pierce's smear better than any defense post. Not a screenshot, not a defense, a loyal friend standing taller because I spent power on someone other than myself. The problem was that revenge never stayed in one container. The Copper Room was hosting our old class reunion upstairs. I had forgotten on purpose. Wes Dobbs had not. When the convoy looped back, a group by the entrance started whispering my name, and one of them said, Wes was inside telling everyone he knew the truth about me. Benji parked and got out, still holding the key like it might disappear. You do not have to come in, he said. I do. Because of Wes? Because people like Wes think a lie becomes history if they say it near catered food. The reunion room looked exactly like my memory wanted it to look. Warm lights, cheap name tags, old classmates pretending they had become better versions of themselves because their shoes were cleaner. I had no name tag. That helped. Several people recognized me anyway. Recognition traveled across the room in little ugly sparks. Wes had already prepared the room. I knew because a projector near the bar showed the campus feed frozen on Pierce's smear post. Not playing as proof, not framed as news, just sitting there like a dirty plate nobody wanted to claim. Wes saw me notice it and smiled. I was explaining context, he said. At a reunion? People asked. People always ask when you bring a screen. The room shifted. A few classmates looked at the projector, then at him, suddenly aware that gossip had hardware. Wes lifted both hands. Relax, I am protecting people. Some of us remember who you were before the mystery money. Benji stepped forward. I remember. Wes looked amused. You do? Wyatt covered my rent once when he had less than I did, Benji said. He ate instant noodles for a week and told me he was testing a diet. The room went quieter for a different reason. I did not love Benji saying it. Old poverty has a smell even when it is clean, but the line did something useful. It made the old loser story bend. Poor did not mean predator. Poor meant the guy Wes mocked had still helped someone when there was no camera and no rebate. Wes felt the audience move and hated it. Touching, he said. And tonight he buys you a personality. Benji smiled, smaller this time. Better than renting one. That got the first real laugh at Wes's expense. Wes Dobbs stood near the center table with a drink in his hand and an audience around him. Same grin. Better haircut. Worse soul. He saw me and lifted his glass. There he is, Wes said. Midnight Whale himself, or whatever he is calling the act now. Benji stepped beside me. Wes looked at him, then toward the windows where the Ferraris were visible below. Nice rentals, Wes said. Did you two split the hourly rate? The room laughed because it was easier than choosing courage. I looked around and saw a few faces from the old halls. People who had watched me carry textbooks for Vanessa. People who had let Wes call me charity case without burning a calorie to stop him. Then I saw Isla Durant. She stood near the side wall, half in shadow, dressed like she had arrived from a different kind of pressure. Simple black dress, hair pinned back. A small canvas charm hanging from her bag. The charm hid an old part of my chest before I could name it. Isla saw me looking and lowered her eyes for 1 second. Not disgust. Recognition. I looked away before memory became a speech. That night was not ready for ghosts yet. Wes kept talking. I told everyone on the feed, he said. Wyatt was always like this. He finds people at their lowest, makes himself useful, then acts like a savior. He pointed his drink at Benji. Case in point. Benji went stiff. That was the wrong target. I could take old insults. I had eaten them long enough to know the texture. But Wes using Benji's fresh humiliation as decoration made my patience leave the room. Wes, I said, how many times have you used my name tonight? Enough. Did it work? His smile twitched. What? Did people clap? Did the old loser story make you feel taller? The room got quieter. Wes leaned in. Careful, I know what you were. Poor, I said, not blind. That landed. Isla looked up. Wes set his drink down. You want to compare success? No, I said. You brought mine with you. You have been talking about it all night. A few people laughed softly. Wes turned red. The cars outside are not yours. The Vantage Row manager entered the room before I answered. Good timing is expensive. I had paid for it. He carried a slim black envelope and looked only at me. Mr. Locke, he said, we moved the lead Ferrari to the front entrance as requested. Also, the transfer paperwork for the 2 vehicles under your personal account is ready for signature whenever you prefer. Wes blinked. The room changed so fast I almost felt bad for the furniture. Almost. I took the envelope but did not open it. One more thing, I said to the manager. Do you know Wes Dobbs? Wes's expression tightened. The manager gave Wes a professional smile. He visited the showroom last month. Wes grabbed that like a rope. Exactly. I told you I have contacts. The manager finished. He asked to take photos beside inventory for a private profile. We declined. The room made a sound that was not a gasp. It was better. It was a group of people swallowing the version of Wes they had just bought. Benji laughed first. Then someone near the bar said, "That is brutal." Wes pointed at the manager. "You cannot say that." The manager looked at me. I looked at Wes. "Relax," I said. "It is not an investigation. It is just consequence with shoes." Wes turned toward the projector like he could erase the smear by touching a button. Benji got there first. He picked up the remote from the bar and shut the screen off. The campus feed post vanished from the wall. No speech, no defense, just one click and the lie lost its biggest surface. Benji set the remote down. "Do not use my bad night to decorate your worse one," he told Wes. Benji's voice took the room in a way the Ferrari could not. The car had made people look. His words made them choose. Two classmates stepped away from Wes. "Not far. Far enough." Wes tried to recover by turning to Isla. "Isla," he said, "you remember Wyatt? He used to follow girls around like a lost dog." Isla's face went still. Her hand moved to the little charm on her bag. "I saw it. So did she," she said. "I remember enough." Wes expected support and got a locked door. His drink hand lowered. The counterbalance system did not flash. This was not a target conversion. This was something older and more dangerous than a number. The reunion shifted after that. People who had laughed at the rentals now wanted to ask about cars. People who had nodded along with Wes now acted like they had always found him annoying. A woman from our old class told Benji his ex was downstairs crying near the valet stand, and Benji just looked at the Ferrari key in his hand. "Good," he said. He was not healed, not yet, but he was no longer kneeling. One night had earned enough. I should have left after the payoff. Instead, Isla walked past me toward the hallway, close enough that her shoulder almost brushed mine. She did not stop. She did not make a scene. She only said one sentence under her breath. "Please, check your phone in 5 minutes." Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen, and whatever color the reunion had given her vanished. "Yes, Dad," she said. Her voice became careful in a way I hated immediately. She left through the side door. Wes was still bleeding status behind me. Benji was still holding borrowed keys like a new spine. The room was still digesting the fact that the poor boy from old stories had brought a dealership through the door. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. One message. "Wyatt, this is Isla Durant. My father did not bring me to dinner. He brought me to be sold." The next message arrived before I breathed. "Private dining room. Downstairs. Preston Gray." I looked toward the stairwell. The reunion noise faded behind me. Benji saw my face change. "What happened?" I put the Vantage Row envelope in his hand. "Your revenge is parked outside," I said. "Mine just moved downstairs." Isla Durant's message turned the copper room from a reunion into a countdown. Private dining room. Downstairs. Preston Gray. I read it twice while the party kept laughing behind me, like the building had not just split into two worlds. Upstairs, Wes Dobbs was losing face beside a tray of tiny desserts. Downstairs, Ila's father was trying to sell his daughter with linen napkins and a contract. Benji looked at the phone, then at me. "Wyatt," he said, "is she in danger? Then why are we standing here?" "Good friend. Correct question." I took the stairs 2 at a time. The hallway below was quieter, carpeted thick enough to hide ugly footsteps. 2 private dining rooms sat behind dark wood doors. One had servers moving in and out. The other had a security man planted outside with his hands folded and the bored face of someone paid to pretend coercion was hospitality. He blocked the door when he saw me. "Private room," he said. "That is the problem." He put a hand out. "Invitation only." I looked at his wrist, then at the door. "Move it before I make your invitation medical." He did not know me, so he made the normal mistake. He reached for my chest. The attribute points from Sierra's lock had not made me patient. I caught his wrist, turned it just far enough to fold his pride, and walked him sideways into the wall without breaking anything expensive. He grunted. The door shook. Inside, a man's voice snapped. "What is that?" I opened the door before the security man could decide whether his job included dying for a dinner reservation. The room froze around a long table. Isla sat near the center, white-knuckled, one cheek faintly red. Her father stood behind her chair with one hand on the back of it like she was furniture he owned. Preston Gray sat across from her in a pale suit, smiling like a buyer inspecting a house. Preston's father sat beside him, older, colder, watching the room with the calm disgust of a man used to signatures arriving on time. On the table sat a thick contract. It did not need many words to be evil. The title was enough. Marriage agreement, voting control, family debt release. Ila's pen lay beside it. That pen was the villain in the room. Beside the contract sat a dessert plate no one had touched. That detail made me angrier than the slap mark on her cheek. They had ordered something sweet for the moment she signed herself away. Preston noticed me looking. "We were celebrating," he said. "Early." Isla's father tried to laugh. It came out thin. "Mr. Gray has been generous with us," he said. Isla understands the family needs her cooperation. Preston leaned back like the word cooperation was a hand around her throat. She gets stability, he said. Her father keeps the company alive. Everyone leaves with dignity. Isla's fingers curled against her lap. No one at that table had asked whether dignity could be forced through a signature. Preston's father finally spoke. His voice had no volume problem because the room had been trained to meet him halfway. Young man, you are interrupting a settlement. No, I said, I am interrupting a sale. His eyes sharpened. Good, monsters hate accurate language. I walked straight to the table. Isla stared at me like she had hoped and feared the same answer. Her father found his voice first. Who are you? The interruption. Preston laughed. This is private family business. I picked up the contract. Isla's father lunged for it. Do not touch that. I looked at Isla. Did you agree to this? Her lips parted. Her father snapped. She understands her duty. I kept my eyes on Isla. That was not my question. Preston's smile thinned. She will sign? That was not my question either. Isla swallowed. Her voice came out low, but clear enough for everyone who mattered. No. That one word cut the contract before my hands did. I tore it in half. The sound was not loud, but the room reacted like a chair had been thrown through a window. Preston stood so fast his chair scraped backward. Do you know what that contract is worth? Less now. I tore it again. Preston stepped around the table and reached for Isla's arm. Preston made his first physical mistake. I moved between them. He jabbed a finger into my chest. She belongs in this agreement. I hit him. Not a wild punch, not a heroic speech. One short strike to the body that folded him forward, followed by a palm to the shoulder that sent him down beside his own chair. The room went silent enough to hear his shoe slide on the floor. Preston's father stood. You just assaulted a gray. No, I said. I corrected a touching problem. Isla's father grabbed her shoulder. Sit down. I looked at his hand. He removed it. Smart man for 3 seconds. Preston groaned from the floor. You think you can buy your way into this? No, I said. I think buying is what you were doing badly. His father gave a small, cold smile. Then you understand nothing. Her family company owes more than it can survive. We clear the debt. We receive control. She receives protection. Isla flinched at the word protection. I hated how clean monsters made their sentences. The counterbalance system pulsed at the edge of my sight. Isla Durant, eligible target recognized. Devotion score, 41. Spend route available. Personal freedom. Family company control, debt release. The system knew exactly where the cage was. For half a second, the greedy part of me saw the numbers behind the route and almost smiled. The counterbalance wallet loved a woman in crisis. It loved power tied to humiliation. It loved expensive decisions that would come back multiplied. Then Isla looked at me with the one fear I could not joke away. Not fear that I would fail. Fear that I would buy the same cage and put my name on it. I set my phone on the table where everyone could see the screen. I will clear the control point, I said. Isla's father breathed out like he had already started calculating his rescue. I looked at him. Not for you. His mouth closed. I tapped the approval. The room tried to become paperwork. I refused to let it. The boring calls happened fast because rich families only pretend transactions need time when poor people are waiting. A company officer answered. A debt holder answered. The counterbalance wallet moved through the route like a blade through paper. Preston's father watched the first approval land and changed tactics. Stop, he said. Whatever he is offering, I can double it privately. Isla's father looked at him in panic. We had an agreement. We had a useful daughter on the table, Preston's father said, not even bothering to lower his voice. Now we have a scene. Isla flinched. That sentence did something important. It removed the last polite cloth from the table. Her father could not pretend this was protection anymore. Preston could not pretend it was romance. Everyone in the room had heard the price tag speak. I looked at Isla's father. Still want to call this family? He stared at the wet contract pieces instead of his daughter. Preston wiped his mouth and pushed himself higher on one elbow. Take the money, he spat. You are a campus clown with a viral name. You do not know what to do with an actual company. Correct, I said. That is why I am not keeping it. The room missed the sentence for half a beat. Then Isla heard it, her eyes lifted. Within minutes, the only thing that mattered appeared on my screen. Majority voting control transferred. Holder, Isla Durant. I turned the phone toward her. Stand up, I said. She did. Her father whispered, Isla. That whisper had raised her for years. I saw it hit her shoulders. Then she read her own name above the control line, and the whisper lost weight. Preston's father stepped forward. This is impossible. No, I said. It is expensive. Preston pushed himself up from the floor, face twisted. You bought her. Isla looked at me before anyone else did. There it was, the real test. I picked up the phone and placed it in Isla's hand. No, I said. I bought the cage and gave her the key. No cheers, no speech, better. The people who had come to watch Isla be transferred suddenly had to watch authority move into her hands. Her father took one step toward her. You do not understand the company. Isla held the phone tighter. Then you should have taught me before trying to sell me. That line did more than my money. Her father raised his hand. Old habit, fast mistake. I caught his wrist before Isla had to move. The room stopped breathing. I did not squeeze. I did not need to. I just held his hand in the air where everyone could see exactly what kind of father appeared when ownership failed. Try it, I said. Give Preston company on the floor. His arm trembled. Isla looked at his hand first, then at his face. Something final moved behind her eyes. Remove him from operating authority, she said. The company officer was still on my phone. He heard her. Ms. Durant, the man on the line said carefully, as majority voting holder, you can call an emergency action. Her father whispered. You would not. Isla's voice shook once and then steadied. I am calling it. The company officer on the phone went quiet for 2 seconds. Then he said, action recorded. Isla's father's phone buzzed on the table. He looked down. Whatever message he saw drained the last fatherly performance out of his face. Isla read that too. You can keep your office until morning, she said. After that, you can ask the front desk where visitors wait. Her father stared at her as if she had learned a foreign language. She had authority. Preston laughed from the floor, bitter and breathless. Look at her. 10 minutes with him and she thinks she is queen. Isla did not look at him. Not looking at him was the insult. No, she said. 10 minutes without you, and I can hear myself. The company officer cleared his throat on the phone. Ms. Durant, do you want the Gray family removed from pending control discussions? Preston's father stiffened. Isla looked at me once, not asking permission, just confirming she was allowed to be ruthless in the room that had been ruthless to her. I nodded. She said, remove them. The officer answered, done. Preston's father's jaw tightened so hard the word done looked like it had cost him money. I released his wrist. He stepped back as if I had thrown him. The third cage opened there. First the contract, then the control, then the voice she used against the man who had raised her to obey. Preston's father looked at him with open contempt now, as if the failed seller had embarrassed the buyer. You promised control, Preston's father said. Isla's father paled. Preston pointed at me. This is theft. Call it whatever makes the floor feel softer, I said. He lunged. I expected it. Men like Preston did not lose women, contracts, and audience control without needing one last ugly move. He came at my face. I stepped aside and let his momentum carry him into the table edge. Glasses jumped. Water spilled across the torn contract. Preston folded again, this time with less dignity available. Isla did not scream. That mattered. She watched him go down and did not apologize for it. The counterbalance system pulsed. Isla Durant! Devotion score, 41-68. Not a lock. Not yet. Good. I did not want the system to make this too easy. If she trusted me only because money had arrived with my name on it, I would be Preston with better timing. Then Isla reached for the little canvas charm on her bag. She held it between 2 fingers. You remember this? She asked me. The room was still hostile, but her voice took me somewhere else. High school. Rain. A narrow walkway behind the gym. Isla with a torn backpack strap, and 3 older boys blocking her path because cruelty gets brave in groups. I had been too poor to look useful, too scared to look heroic, and dumb enough to step in anyway. They hit me twice before a teacher's whistle cut through the rain. I told Isla to run. She did. The next day, a little canvas charm appeared in my locker with no note. I never found out how she knew which locker was mine. I had kept that memory buried because poor boys cannot afford to mistake gratitude for love. Isla's eyes shone. I knew it was you, she said. I was not sure until tonight. The system answered before my mouth did. Isla Durant, devotion score, 68-95. Devotion. Lock triggered. Counterattack rebate unlocked. The private dining room blurred at the edges, not from romance, from the ugly relief of realizing one good thing I had done while powerless had survived long enough to meet me after I became dangerous. Preston's father saw Isla step closer to me and understood the deal was dead in a way no lawyer could resurrect. We are leaving, he said to Preston. Preston wiped his mouth. Father, we cannot let him. You lost the bride, his father said. You lost the contract. Do not lose your teeth. That was the first sensible gray sentence of the night. Preston glared at Isla. You will regret this. She lifted the phone. I am the voting control now, she said. Send threats to my office. I almost laughed. Preston looked at her like he was seeing the person he had planned to marry for the first time. The ugly joke was that he had wanted her signature, her company, her silence, and her body at a family table, but the moment she became a person with power, he looked offended by the discovery. There she was, not rescued property, not fragile first love. A woman who had been cornered and chose a blade the moment someone put one in her hand. Preston's father turned at the doorway. Bayfront Hall will hear about this, he said. Good, I said, use my correct name. He looked at me with the first honest emotion he had shown all night. Hate. Then he left with his son limping beside him. The servers outside looked away too late. The security man from the hallway stood with one hand wrapped around his wrist and suddenly found the carpet fascinating. Isla's father was still in the room, but the room no longer belonged to him. Her father looked smaller than he had 10 minutes earlier. Isla, he said, softer now, we are family. She looked at the torn contract soaked on the table. You remembered that late? He had no answer that did not make him worse. Then he tried the last weapon weak parents use when authority breaks. Your mother would be ashamed. Isla closed her eyes. For 1 second the old training reached for her throat again. I almost stepped in. She opened her eyes before I did. Do not borrow her voice, Isla said. You already spent mine. Her father looked hit. Good. Some men only understand pain when it comes back wearing their own family name. The servers in the doorway pretended not to listen, which meant every important part of the city would know by morning. Fine, payoffs need witnesses. I walked Isla out of the private room with the phone still in her hand. Benji waited near the stairwell, saw her face and did not ask the stupid version of the question. You okay? He asked. Isla breathed once. I own the thing they tried to sell me through, she said. Benji looked at me. That sounds like a yes with lawyers. No lawyers, I said. We are having a good night. We were not. We were having a loud night, a useful night, a night that had already started growing teeth beyond the copper room. Isla stopped beside the hallway mirror and looked at her cheek. For a second, I thought she might cry. Instead, she wiped the faint red mark with her thumb like she was erasing someone else's signature. I almost signed, she said. You did not. Because you came. Because you texted. She looked at me through the mirror. That mattered. If I made myself the hero of the whole thing, I would steal the only part she had owned from the beginning. She had been cornered, but she had still sent the message. She had still said no. She had still taken the phone and used it. Isla breathed in. Then next time, she said. I text earlier. Next time, I said. You do not need permission to leave. Her hand closed around the phone again. By the time Isla and I reached the front entrance, the Ferrari convoy still sat under the lights. Benji's ex was gone. Wes Dobbs was gone too, or hiding well enough to count as gone. The old classmates stared at Isla's phone like it might bite them. One woman from the reunion whispered, Is she okay? Isla heard her. She stopped, turned, and answered before I could. No, she said, but I am in charge now. The whisper died. I liked that answer better than okay. Okay is passive. In charge has teeth. Isla stopped beside the black Ferrari. Why give it to me? She asked. I knew what she meant. The company. The control. The thing men had used as a leash. The honest answer was not pure. The system rewarded me. The spend route would come back. My greed was alive and doing push-ups. But greed was not the only thing in the room anymore. Because I know what it feels like when someone calls ownership love, I said. And because watching Preston lose was worth the transaction fee. She laughed once, shaky and real. The system stayed quiet. That made it better. Then her phone buzzed again. She read the message and frowned. What? I asked. Bayfront Hall, she said. The charity board just requested an emergency guest list update. My phone buzzed a second later. An invitation landed in my inbox. Bayfront Hall. Charity Gala. Midnight Whale requested as honored donor. No sender name that mattered. Just a chain of elite signatures, a reference to the Grey Disruption, and 2 organizations I recognized from other people's fear. Halden Capital, Lark Family Office. Isla looked from the invitation to me. This is not a thank you, she said. No, I said, it is a test with nicer lighting. Across the lot, a black car idled at the curb. I could not see who sat inside. I only saw the window lower for a second, then rise again. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe rich people just liked watching fires before deciding whether to warm their hands or call them illegal. The invitation pulsed on my screen. Bayfront Hall did not want to honor me. It wanted to see if the man who bought cages could be stopped at a door. The Bayfront Hall invitation arrived like a silk-gloved threat. It did not say we heard you humiliated the Gray family. It did not say why Halden Capital and the Lark family office were copied into the chain. It said, honored donor? Rich people love clean nouns. They can hide a knife in any of them. Celeste Monroe read the invitation on my phone the next afternoon and looked more annoyed than impressed. Bayfront Hall does not invite chaos, she said. It contains it. Then I should be punctual. Sierra Lane leaned over the back of the chair. Wear something insulting. Isla Durant, still holding the company control phone like she expected someone to try stealing it, shook her head. No, let them insult him first. It saves time. My new problem was that the women around me had started giving strategy like they were reviewing a murder board, and most of it was useful. Celeste set a small card on the table. Riverside Estates gate card. The crystal piano delivery slot was moved, she said. Bayfront Hall asked to unveil it during the gala's music auction. They said it would honor Black Cat Live's campus program. She said, honor the same way people say mold. I looked at the card. The piano I had bought for her had become bait. Do you want me to cancel it? I asked. Celeste's eyes lifted. No! One syllable. Clean and cold. If they use my piano as bait, she said, I want to see who bites. The counterbalance system did not flash, but my interest did. That night, I went to Bayfront Hall in a plain black coat. Not because I could not dress better, because if a door needed a suit to recognize money, the door deserved embarrassment. The front steps were bright with cameras, donors, polished couples, and men who had inherited confidence from people they never thanked. Bayfront Hall rose behind them with white columns and glass doors so tall they looked designed to make normal people feel late. Celeste arrived beside me, calm enough to make every photographer search for the reason. Isla came on my other side, quieter, still learning what freedom looked like under public light. Benji stayed near the curb with one Ferrari key in his pocket and the expression of a man who had been promoted from witness to backup. At the velvet rope, a security captain looked at Celeste first, then me. He held out one hand. Service entrance is around the side. Celeste went perfectly still. I smiled. The knight clearly liked me. Say it louder, I said. The security captain frowned. Staff and drivers use the side entrance. Pierce Holt laughed from just inside the rope. Of course he was there. Different suit, same ego. His basketball loss had not killed him. It had only taught him to bleed in richer rooms. Pierce stepped closer, holding a champagne glass like a trophy he did not earn. You heard him, Wyatt, Pierce said. Bayfront Hall has standards. They cannot put every campus wallet on the guest list. I looked at the rope between us. Still hiding behind lines other men hold for you? His smile tightened. Still pretending money makes you fit? The security captain snapped. Step aside. Phones turned toward us. Cameras love a rich entrance, but they love a possible humiliation more. Celeste spoke before I did. This is Wyatt Locke. The security captain gave her a polite look that managed to insult her too. Ma'am, I know the guest list. Then you have read it poorly. Pierce laughed again. Celeste, do not waste your reputation on him. That line was meant for her. It landed on me. I took out my phone and opened the Bayfront invitation, then I closed it without showing him. No, the security captain blinked. No? You stopped me. Keep going, I want the apology to have contrast. Pierce's expression flickered. That was the first clue he remembered the court. The security captain reached for my arm. Before his fingers touched my sleeve, the glass doors behind him flew open. A Bayfront Hall host rushed out so fast his polished shoes almost lost the stairs. Mr. Locke, he said, breath tight, please forgive the confusion. The security captain's hand froze in midair. Pierce stopped smiling. The host turned to the rope attendant. Open it! No one moved fast enough for him. He opened it himself. Bayfront Hall welcomes Midnight Whale, he said, loud enough for the cameras. Your generosity tonight is deeply appreciated. The security captain's face lost its official shape. I waited. The host understood the pause and turned on him. Apologize. The captain looked like he had been asked to donate a kidney in public. Mr. Locke, he said, voice flat, my apologies. For? Pierce's eyes narrowed. The captain swallowed. For directing you to the service entrance. Good, I said. Now you know where it is if you need it later. A photographer coughed behind his camera. The host's smile twitched in pain, which made it better. He tried to guide us inside quickly, but the damage had already entered the room before I did. Donors near the foyer turned to look. Some recognized Celeste first. Some recognized the name Midnight Whale from Black Cat clips. Some just saw Bayfront staff apologizing to a man in a plain coat and understood there was status under the insult. That is the best kind, the kind people have to discover while they are still being rude. There it was, fake authority collapsing in public sounds different from defeat. Defeat is loud, collapse is soft. It is a man realizing the uniform on his chest cannot protect him from the name he failed to recognize. The security captain stepped back. I walked past him, then stopped beside Pierce. You should thank him, I said. Pierce's jaw worked. For what? He made the door scene cheaper than the auction. Celeste looked away, but I saw the corner of her mouth move. Inside, Bayfront Hall smelled like money trying to pass as charity. White flowers, quiet strings, glass cases with auction items and small cards that avoided mentioning how many people could eat for the cost of one bracelet. I saw Sabrina Lark near the balcony with Felix Lark beside her. Both wore the relaxed posture of people who had family money thick enough to soften floors. Sabrina looked at me once, not warmly, not hostilely. Measuring. Felix spoke to a donor and did not bother hiding that he was also watching. Across the room, a Halden capital table sat under a discreet sign. Landon Halden was not there. His absence had weight anyway. The host led us toward the main floor. Your auction paddle, Mr. Locke. He handed me a black paddle with a number on it. Then he tried to seat us at a side table behind a column. Celeste saw it first. No, she said. The host blinked. Ma'am, you announced him as honored donor, Celeste said. Do not hide him like an accounting error. Isla looked at the table card, then at the main aisle. The front row is open. Reserved, the host said. I looked at the name cards in the front row. 2 empty seats, one under Halden Capital, one under Lark Family Office. Perfect, I said. I love a reserved seat. It means someone expected value. The host's smile froze. Felix Lark saw the exchange from the balcony and leaned down to say something to Sabrina. I could not hear it. I did not need to. Sabrina watched the host move our cards to the front row, and this time she did smile, not approval. Interest. The Lark Family Office seat stayed empty beside us like a dare. Pierce appeared behind us like a bad habit. Careful, he said. This crowd can tell the difference between donating and buying applause. Then stop renting yours. Benji coughed behind me. Pierce ignored him and looked at Celeste. Are you performing tonight? Celeste's face cooled. No! Shame, he said. The crystal piano deserves someone trained. There it was. The bite. The host stepped onto the small stage and began the music auction segment before Celeste could answer. No long item speech. No lecture about materials. Just a curtain pulled back, and a crystal piano under white light, clear enough to catch every chandelier in its body. Celeste's breath changed beside me. I heard it because I was listening. The host said the piano would support Bayfront Hall's Arts Fund and Black Cat Live's campus music program. Then he made the mistake of inviting Pierce to demonstrate it. Pierce walked onto the stage like the night owed him a comeback. Before he touched the keys, he took the microphone. For transparency, Pierce said, looking right at me, I will personally pledge $50,000 if this piano goes to a real arts patron tonight. The amount was large enough for polite applause and small enough to survive his family seeing it. The room clapped. Pierce bowed his head like a saint with tailoring. I lifted my paddle without standing. The host looked confused. Mr. Locke? Add $500,000 to the arts fund, I said, under Celeste Monroe's name. The room made its first honest sound of the night. Pierce's pledge had lasted 11 seconds. Celeste turned her face toward me, eyes sharp. You did not need to do that. He said, real arts patron. I got inspired. Pierce's jaw tightened before he sat at the piano. He played well. That mattered. A weak villain makes a weak slap. Pierce had talent, money, and a room trained to approve him. His hands moved cleanly over the keys, and the first minute had enough beauty that people forgot his mouth for a while. Celeste watched without blinking. When Pierce finished, the room applauded. He stood, bowed, then took the microphone. A piano like this, Pierce said, should go to someone who understands discipline, not someone who thinks every locked door opens with a card. The audience laughed carefully. Careful laughter is the elite version of blood in the water. The bidding opened. Pierce raised his paddle first. Another donor followed. Then I lifted mine. The number jumped. The host repeated it, voice cracking slightly. Pierce stared at me. I lifted the paddle again before he could. The room stopped pretending this was about charity. Pierce tried one more bid. His father was not in the room, but his family limit was. I could see the moment he hit it. His wrist hesitated. I raised my paddle. Final. The host struck the gavel. Sold to Mr. Wyatt Locke in support of Black Cat Live's music program? I stood. Under Celeste Monroe's name, I said. The host swallowed. Of course. Celeste turned to me. The system pulsed. Celeste Monroe, devotion score, 74 to 86. Pierce stepped down from the stage, face tight. You can buy it. You still cannot play it. Pierce gave me the second bite. I looked at Celeste. May I? She understood before the room did. If you ruin it, she said, I will be angry. Then I will be careful. I walked onto the stage. The skill module woke in my vision. Piano performance route available. The system did not make me emotional. It did not give me a tragic childhood montage or a lecture about music theory. It simply placed structure under my hands, timing in my wrists, and a cruel little sense of exactly where Pierce had left pride on the keys. I sat. The room expected a joke. I gave them Pierce's opening piece. Same first phrase, same shape. Cleaner attack. Then I changed it, not enough to become a different song. Enough to show the room what Pierce had avoided, where he had played safe, where he had decorated a feeling instead of risking one. Celeste stood during the second passage. The audience understood I was not mocking music. I was mocking Pierce through music. His own piece became the floor under him. I played the final line softer than he had, slower, then let the last note hang until every expensive throat in the room remembered it had been silent. The applause did not start immediately. It had to climb out of shame. Then it hit hard. Benji shouted once before catching himself. Isla clapped with both hands at her chest. Celeste did not clap. She looked at me like the piano had answered a question she had refused to say out loud. The system flashed. Celeste Monroe, devotion score, 86 to 95. Devotion lock triggered. Counterattack rebate unlocked. Skill module strengthened. The host hurried back to the microphone, desperate to wrap the moment in official language. A remarkable demonstration, he said. Bayfront Hall is honored to steward this instrument for... No, Celeste said. Every head turned. She walked onto the stage with the kind of calm that made interruption look like etiquette. The instrument was purchased under my name for Black Cat Live's campus music program, she said. It will be used where students can hear it, not hidden in a donor hall until the next gala needs lighting. The host looked at me for rescue. I gave him none. Celeste held out her hand. I placed the auction paddle in it. The gesture was smaller than the money, but the room understood it faster. I was not just buying a prize for a beautiful woman. I was putting the handle in her hand and letting her tell the elites where the music would go. Sabrina Lark applauded first from the balcony. That single clap gave permission to the people who had been waiting to see which direction power leaned. Then the room followed. Celeste did not smile at them. She did not need to. I stood and looked at Pierce. You were right, I said. Discipline matters. He did not answer. The crowd did it for him. Pierce tried to leave through the side aisle. The same donors who had laughed carefully at his joke now looked away carefully from his face. Elite punishment is quiet. No shouting, no thrown drink, just the sudden discovery that nobody wanted to be photographed near your failure. Benji leaned close to me. Want me to offer him the service entrance? No, I said. He already knows where it is. All night, people had tried to decide whether I was a donor, a fraud, staff, a campus rumor, a rich mistake, or some hidden heir with poor fashion. After the piano, they settled on dangerous. Dangerous gets better service, it also gets quieter enemies. That part mattered more. The people who had laughed at the door did not apologize again. They simply recalculated where to stand, who to greet, and whether their next sentence should include my name. The host personally walked us away from the stage. The security captain from the door avoided eye contact so hard I almost respected the effort. Sabrina Lark watched from the balcony with a new expression I could not name yet. Felix Lark took a call and kept his eyes on me the entire time. At the Halden Capital table, an empty chair waited like a promise. That should have been the ending. Door insult paid, auction paid, Pierce paid, Celeste paid. But payoffs do not end pressure. They invite smarter enemies. Outside after the gala, the parking lot had gone cold and quiet. Benji went ahead to bring the car around. Isla stayed near Celeste, both of them tired in different ways. I heard the struggle before I saw it. Near the far side of the lot, two men had a woman pinned between a black car and a concrete pillar. One held her bag. The other had her wrist twisted high enough to hurt. She did not scream. She fought. That made me move faster. I reached the first man before he knew I had crossed the distance. I drove my shoulder into his ribs and sent him into the car door. The second man swung something short and metallic toward my head. I caught his wrist, turned, and put him on the pavement hard enough for the object to skitter under the car. The woman stepped back, breathing sharp. Only then did I recognize her from the program. Vera Frost, Coiflow founder. Hostile eyes, split lip, zero gratitude prepared. Are you hurt? I asked. She looked at the men on the ground, then at my sleeve where a thin line of blood had opened from the metal strike. Then, she looked past me toward Bayfront Hall. How convenient, Vera said. I almost laughed. That is your first sentence? Two men attacked me after a gala where you needed one more heroic angle, she said. And you appear at the exact second? The system pulsed once, cold and unhelpful. Vera Frost, devotion score, 12 to 4. So saving her made it worse. Refreshing. I stepped back and held up both hands. Keep the bag, I said. Keep the suspicion too. It seems emotionally load-bearing. Vera grabbed her bag from the ground. Stay away from me, Wyatt Locke. She knew my name. That mattered. The two men groaned behind us. Bayfront security finally started running over now that the dangerous part had been completed by someone else. The security captain from the front door reached us first, sweating now. We have it handled, he said. Vera looked at the two men on the pavement, then at me, then at the captain. You arrived after the blood, she said. The captain opened his mouth. She cut him off. Do not put your name on work you did not do. For one clean second I thought the rescue might tilt back in my favor. Then Vera looked at me again. That includes you. Vera it was. She could identify useless authority and still refuse me at the same time. Annoying. Interesting. Celeste reached my side and saw the blood. You are cut. Barely. Vera looked at Celeste, then at Isla, then at me. Her expression sharpened further, as if every woman near me proved her worst guess. Of course, she said. There is always an audience. Then she walked away before anyone could make the scene clean. I watched her go and felt the night tilt. The usual reward flipped backward. No thank you, no softening, no instant lock, just a woman saved from danger who now trusted me less. Good. Easy loops make lazy stories. My phone buzzed before we reached the car. No sender name I recognized, just a formal message forwarded through the Bayfront Hall donor office. Halden Capital recommends an executive secretary for your upcoming land and media campus coordination. Attached resume, Claire Ashford. I stared at the name. Polished credentials, clean photo, adult executive presence, too perfect, too fast. Celeste read over my shoulder. Do you know her? No! Another message arrived beneath it. The recommendation comes with excellent references. I looked back at Bayfront Hall, at the glass doors, at the cameras, at the place where I had been mistaken for staff 2 hours earlier. They had tried a locked door. They had tried Pierce. The timing said somebody had watched Vera walk away angry from a real rescue. Now someone was sending me help I had not asked for. I put the phone away. What is it? Isla asked. I looked at the empty Halden Capital chair through the window. The next test, I said. This one knows how to apply for a job. Vera Frost's first gift to me was suspicion. I had just stopped 2 men from twisting her wrist behind a parking lot pillar, and she looked at my bleeding sleeve like I had ordered the blood for lighting. Then Halden Capital sent me Claire Ashford's resume before the cut on my arm dried. Too perfect, too fast, too useful. The next morning Vera texted me first. Do not send your new secretary to Coiflo. Do not send flowers. Do not send excuses. If last night was staged, at least respect me enough to stage it better. I read it twice and smiled. Sierra Lane leaned over my shoulder from the other side of the dorm common room. She hates you with punctuation. I respect that. She writes better threats than Pierce. Everyone does. Pierce threatened you with sports. Celeste Monroe sat across from me with the Riverside Estates gate card beside her coffee. She had already seen Claire's resume, the polished photo, the clean credentials, and the recommendation chain through Halden Capital. Celeste said, you should not accept help that arrives before you ask for it. Isla Durant looked up from her company control phone. Or, accept it and make the helper prove who she serves. That was the difference between women who had been caged and women who only watched cages. Isla understood that a suspicious tool was still a tool. I replied to Vera, no flowers, no excuses. If I stage anything, you will get better lighting. Her answer came back in 4 seconds. Stay away from my company. So of course the next expensive idea involved her company. I did not know yet that the women had started coordinating. Not fully. I only noticed the pattern. Sierra asked whether I had ever bought anything useful instead of loud. Celeste asked what Black Cat Live would do if the campus music program needed real control instead of donor attention. Isla asked how much a building cost when it came with no father's office in it. Vanessa, who had no right to ask for anything, sent one line. If you are really not broke, prove you can spend without using it to punish me. 4 requests, 4 different tones, same pressure under all of them. Make him spend. The old Wyatt would have panicked. The new Wyatt checked the counterbalance wallet and felt greed sit up like a dog hearing a treat bag. If jealous women wanted revenge by spending my money, I was not going to interrupt genius. I met them at Riverside Estates because Celeste had refused to stream from the lake house until the first event had a purpose. Sierra arrived with sunglasses on even though it was cloudy. Isla arrived with 2 folders she did not open because she knew I hated paperwork that did not bleed quickly. Vanessa came last, holding her phone like it might protect her from being ignored. Vera did not come. She sent a message to Celeste instead. Tell Wyatt Locke that Coiflo is not for sale to men who collect women. Celeste read it out loud without changing her voice. Sierra whistled. She skipped rude and went straight to useful. Vanessa looked at Celeste. Why is Vera texting you? Because she trusts me more than him, Celeste said. She met him last night. Exactly. That should have annoyed me. It did. Then it gave me a clean route. I opened Black Cat Live's ownership dashboard on the new phone Celeste had bought me. The platform still treated Midnight Whale like a donor legend, not an owner. The gap was inefficient. Worse, Lacey Pratt had already started posting clips saying she could bring Midnight Whale back if Black Cat Live gave her the front page again. Lacey had lost 1 duel and still thought humiliation was a temporary lighting problem. I placed the phone on the table. Celeste, I said, if you had control of Black Cat Live's campus program, what would you do first? Sierra leaned in. Please say ban Lacey. Celeste did not smile. I would move performance slots away from baking streams, music, study rooms, stage work, charity showcases. If Lacey wants a slot, she can audition without calling lonely men baby. My phone buzzed as if summoned. Lacey Pratt, I know you are watching. Give me 1 stream tonight. I can make you look generous again. I showed the message to Celeste. Her timing is a disease, Sierra said. Celeste held out her hand. Give me the dashboard. Celeste's demand moved the air. Vanessa's eyes flicked to me. Isla's fingers tightened around her own phone. Sierra stopped joking long enough to see whether I would give Celeste actual authority or just decorate her with another gift. I transferred the Black Cat Live Campus Program authority to Celeste Monroe and funded the platform seat behind it before anyone could turn the moment into a meeting. The approval banner appeared. Black Cat Live Program Authority, Celeste Monroe. The lake house fell quiet. Celeste stared at her name on the dashboard. Wyatt, use it well, I said. That is too much trust. No, too much trust would be letting Lacey control her own mute button. Sierra laughed first. Celeste did not laugh. She opened the program panel, clicked once, and Lacey Pratt's pending feature request vanished from the front queue. A second later, Lacey's private message hit my phone. What did you do? Celeste answered from the platform account. Not mine. Celeste Monroe, you can audition when you stop selling panic as affection. Sierra slapped both hands on the table. I love rich administration when it has teeth. The system pulsed over Celeste even though she had already locked. Counterattack rebate route expanded. Platform asset influence increased. Romance had nothing to do with it. Celeste had infrastructure now. Vanessa watched the dashboard like it was the Asterin Birch bag all over again, except worse. A bag made a woman visible. A platform gave her a room full of doors. She said, so she asks and gets a company? Celeste looked at her. I asked for work. You asked for proof. Vanessa went still. Sierra whispered, quiet girls stab better. I keep saying it. Then my phone rang. Vera Frost. I put it on speaker. Her voice cut through the room. If you are done buying applause, tell your platform girl not to drag Koiflo into your circus. Celeste's eyebrow moved. Platform girl? Vera heard her. Accurate enough? I said, Vera, what does Koiflo need? Nothing from you. That was not my question. She went quiet for 1 second too long. Good. Pride had hit a bill. Then she said, we have a share block trapped by investors who think last night's attack makes me unstable. They want me out before launch. If I had the money, I would buy them out and fire every man who called concern a strategy. I do not have the money. Happy? Deeply. I hate you. Invoice it. Sierra mouthed. Marry me. To the ceiling. Vera snapped. Do not mock me. I am not. I am making the request clear. You want control of Koiflo without owing the men who waited for you to look weak. Her silence answered. I sent the purchase through under Vera Frost's name. Not mine. Hers. The confirmation came back in less than a minute because fear makes sellers efficient. Koiflo share block transferred, Vera Frost. On the speaker, Vera did not speak at first. I heard movement, then a door opening, then voices behind her. Her team must have seen the update before she found a response. One woman in the background said, Vera, they backed off. They just backed off. Another voice said, you kept control. That reaction mattered. Not because people were shocked, because Vera's authority had survived a public attack and her own people saw it happen. Vera came back to the phone with her voice lower. What do you want? For you to stop calling every rescue staged? It gets repetitive. No. Then start with a cheaper favor. What? Build something worth the money. The system pulsed. Vera Frost. Devotion score, 4-29. Not trust. Not gratitude. A hostile woman discovering that my money could return power to her hand without closing around her throat. Vera said, I still do not trust you. Good, I said. Trust is expensive. Keep charging. She hung up. Then she called back 30 seconds later. Do not come here, Vera said. That is almost always an invitation in my life. Koiflo's office sat behind glass walls and stressed people. By the time I arrived, 2 investor representatives were standing near Vera's main table with the bitter faces of men whose leverage had expired before lunch. One of them had a printed packet in his hand. The other kept staring at the share update on his phone as if refreshing it might restore patriarchy. Vera stood at the head of the table with her split lip still faintly visible. She looked tired, furious, and more alive than she had in the parking lot. The man with the packet pointed at me. This is exactly what we warned about. A stranger throws money into your company, and suddenly you think governance is optional. Vera looked at him. You called me unstable when I was attacked. You called it governance when you tried to take my seat. Do not make me respect your vocabulary. His face tightened. Koiflo needs adult supervision. I stepped beside Vera and looked at the packet. Is that your best insult, or did the printer cut off the rude pages? The second man said. This is a private company matter. Then why were you loud enough for the interns? The room reacted in small ways that counted. A woman at the far desk straightened. A junior developer stopped pretending to type. Vera's team watched her, not me, because the share block had made her the person who could answer. That mattered. Vera picked up the printed packet and tore it once down the middle. Not shredded, not dramatic. One clean tear, enough to make the men flinch and her team breathe. My seat stays mine, Vera said. Anyone who called my attack an opportunity can leave before I start remembering names. The man with the packet looked at me for rescue, which was adorable. I said, I am only here to make bad men overestimate how much paper protects them. They left with their packets split and their concern exposed as greed. Vera watched the glass door close behind them. I did not need you to speak, she said. I know, that was the gift. Her devotion score flickered, 29 to 36, still hostile, less blind. Sierra leaned back and stared at me when I returned to Riverside Estates. You are either building an empire or speedrunning every woman's red flag checklist. Can be both. Isla looked at her own folders. My turn, she said. Her request was quieter than Sierra's jokes and Celeste's platform dashboard, but it carried more history. My father held every company meeting in rooms where he controlled the door, Isla said. The Greys used private dining rooms. Lawyers use side offices. I do not want my people asking permission to sit at their own table. She opened a listing. A building in Lake Haven County. Brick front, ground floor office space. Upper floors empty enough to become studios, classrooms, temporary housing, whatever Isla decided after breathing room reached her brain. This, Isla said. Under the company I control, no father's office attached. Vanessa looked at the screen and whispered, that is not a gift, that is a future. Isla heard her and nodded once. Exactly, I approved the purchase. The building key release hit Isla's phone while she was still looking at me like she expected the world to ask for a second signature. It did not. The key code arrived under her authority. Isla shut her eyes for one beat, then her father's number lit up her phone. She looked at it, breathed in, and muted him. That single thumb movement was worth more than the building. Sierra saw it and stopped smirking. Celeste looked at Isla with quiet approval. Vanessa looked at the muted call like she was learning how refusal worked from the outside. The system pulsed again. Counterattack. Rebate route expanded. Asset network increased. It was starting to pile up now. Black Cat. Live under Celeste. Koi Flow under Vera. A Lake Haven County building under Isla. Each request had been meant to drain me. Each one left another woman with authority and another route feeding the system back into me. Then Sierra's phone lit up face up on the table. She moved too late. I saw the messages. Vanessa, he keeps saying yes. Push bigger. Sierra, this is supposed to make him sweat, not turn us into executives. Celeste, then choose requests that create leverage, not clutter. Isla, no cages, no useless gifts. Vera, I am not part of this ridiculous emotional committee. Sierra snatched the phone. The room froze. Vanessa looked caught. Celeste looked mildly annoyed that Sierra had failed basic screen safety. Isla looked at me and did not lie. We wanted to make you spend until you showed us where the act ends, Isla said. Vanessa's voice came smaller. I wanted you to feel what it was like to be used. Sierra lifted one hand. I wanted to win. Then Celeste made it strategic and ruined the purity of my pettiness. Celeste said, your pettiness was unfocused. See? Sierra said, hostile. I looked at all of them. The old me would have felt betrayed. The new me looked at the ownership dashboards, the key codes, the share transfers, and the counterbalance screen stacking rewards like a machine applauding itself. Then, I laughed. Vanessa flinched. Why are you laughing? Because you tried to bankrupt a man whose power rewards spending on women. Sierra stared. Celeste closed her eyes for 1 second. Isla actually smiled. I picked up my phone and opened Vantage Row Imports. Sierra's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? Thanking my board. We are not your board. You just planned asset allocation, pressure testing, platform restructuring, and hostile share recovery in one group chat. That is more useful than half the men at Bayfront Hall. By sunset, Vantage Row Imports delivered supercar keys to Riverside Estates, not as romance, not as apology, as weapons with wheels for women who had accidentally become operators. Sierra got a key and whispered, this feels like losing but with better seats. Celeste took hers and said, transportation for work is acceptable. Isla held hers like it was another door that did not belong to her father. Vanessa stared at the key I placed in front of her and did not touch it. Why give me one? She asked. Because regret is useless if it never learns to move. She picked it up with shaking fingers. For once, she did not ask what it meant for us. She asked where she should drive. The system pulsed again over her locked profile, but I did not let the number become the point. Vanessa's punishment was not poverty. It was watching the world she wanted get built by women who stopped waiting for Gavin-shaped permission. Then Celeste used Black Cat Live for the last hit of the day. She put Camila Rook on the evening feature. Camila walked onto a small Silverline studio stage with a stiff smile and a scandal rumor still chewing at her name. Howard Kincaid stood near the side curtain telling anyone who would listen that she was unbookable, unstable, finished. He saw me beside Celeste and smiled like he had found a new donor to embarrass. You people are wasting money on damaged talent, Howard said. Pretty faces are replaceable, reputation is not. Camila heard him, her smile cracked. Celeste stepped to the stage microphone before I could answer. Black Cat Live is featuring Camila Rook tonight, Celeste said. Silverline Studios will back her next project. Anyone who considers talent replaceable can leave before the cameras turn on. Howard laughed. And who authorized that? I lifted the black card. The damaged donor, I said. The funding cleared. Silverline Studios backing, Camila Rook. Black Cat Live feature, active. Camila's face changed on camera, not into gratitude, into hunger. The kind artists get when someone hands them a stage in front of the man who called them finished. Howard tried to step onto the stage. The stage manager blocked him. He looked at Celeste, then at me, then at Camila, who had already begun speaking to the camera. I was told my career ended in rooms I was not allowed to enter, Camila said, voice clear now. So tonight I am starting in a room no one can lock from the outside. The comments started moving too fast to read. Howard's phone buzzed in his hand. Whatever he saw made his jaw drop. Lacey Pratt's name disappeared from the feature queue entirely. Camila's climbed. Howard turned to me. You cannot just buy an audience. Correct, I said. I bought her a stage. She is taking the audience while you watch. The studio laughed at him. The human payoff stood under the lights. Not the contract, not the cleared funds. Camila stayed on stage while Howard Kincaid realized the woman he called replaceable had just become harder to reach than him. The system stacked another route. Career asset influence increased. By the time I left Silverline Studios, my phone had 96 unread messages. I answered none of them. My silence gave Halden room to choose the next lie. While I watched dashboards, keys, ownership alerts, and rebate routes stack, the rich circle opportunists saw silence. They saw Black Cat spending, Coiflow shares, a Lake Haven County building, Camila's backing, supercar keys, and no public explanation. To them, big spending without a speech meant one of two things: power or overextension. They chose the story they could survive. Midnight Whale is broke. The first message came from a donor who had praised me at Bayfront Hall and left the private chat before I could screenshot his loyalty. Then another. Then a third. Halden Capital's name appeared in the rumors without appearing as the source. Cowards love passive voice. By midnight, Claire Ashford sent one message from the recommendation thread. Pine County parcels are moving. Halden Capital is telling sellers you cannot close. If you ignore this until morning, the media campus route dies before it starts. I looked at the message, then at Claire's polished resume, then at the city already deciding I had emptied myself building women into assets. The women had tried to bankrupt me and accidentally built an empire. Now, Halden wanted to prove the empire was hollow. I hired Claire Ashford before I trusted her, because sometimes the fastest way to find a trap is to pay the bait to walk ahead. By morning, the city had chosen the rumor it liked best. Midnight Whale was broke. Not quiet, not busy, not building. Broke. The private donor chat that had praised my piano stunt at Bayfront Hall started losing names before breakfast. Men who had clapped when the host apologized now wrote careful little sentences about risk exposure and temporary distance. Translation: they wanted to be close to my money, not my trouble. Claire Ashford arrived at 9 with a black folder, a clean suit, and the kind of calm people rent from expensive schools. I looked at her before I looked at the folder. The counterbalance system flashed. Claire Ashford, devotion score, -18. Eligible. Negative. I almost liked her immediately. A woman who disliked me before I spoke was at least not selling fake sweetness by the ounce. Claire placed the folder on my desk without sitting. Halden Capital believes you will miss the Pine County closing window by noon. Sellers have been told your liquidity is gone. Celeste Monroe stood by the window with her arms crossed. Isla Durant sat near the table with her phone open to her building dashboard. Sierra Lane had taken the chair nearest the door because she said secretaries with perfect posture were how rich people introduced knives. Sierra pointed at Claire. Knife! Claire looked at her. Loud. Sierra smiled. I might keep you. I opened the folder. One map, 3 marked parcels, a narrow strip between Pine County and the planned Blue Harbor Media Campus. No spreadsheet, no lecture, one picture with a trap drawn in ink. Claire said, if Halden controls the strip, your media campus route becomes a dead end. If you overpay for the wrong lots, the public sees panic. Either way, the bankruptcy rumor becomes useful. Useful to who? I asked. She did not blink. To anyone patient enough to buy the pieces after you fail. Not a confession, not proof. But she had walked in carrying Halden's pressure like she knew its weight from the inside. I closed the folder. You are hired, I said. Celeste turned. Wyatt. Claire's eyes narrowed for the first time. That was fast. So was your recommendation. I am matching energy. Sierra stood. If she betrays us, I get to say, I said knife. Put it on a shirt, I said. Claire finally sat down. What do you want me to do? Spend. Her expression did not change, but the score blinked. -18 to -12. Curiosity hates being ignored. Before I could give Claire the first order, Ruth Locke called. My mother did not call during business pressure unless family had already reached fire. I answered. Wyatt, Ruth said, voice tight. Mia is at Blue Harbor Media Campus. They will not let her through the gate. Every woman in the room looked at me. Mia Rowan was not a romance target. She was not a system game. She was family, messy and public in the way only a father's abandoned history can be. My father had left damage behind, and Mia had grown into an adult who wanted a study stream, a clean scholarship route, and one day where her last name did not make people whisper. Ruth lowered her voice. A guard said the Lark list does not include family rumors. Mia heard him. The office went very still. Sabrina Lark's family had been watching me since Bayfront Hall. Felix Lark had watched harder. Apparently, watching was not enough. They had touched family. I stood. Claire said, the Pine County window closes at noon. Then learn how I prioritize. Blue Harbor Media Campus still smelled like new paint and donor pride. At the main gate, Mia Rowan stood with her backpack against her chest while a security guard blocked the entry scanner. Felix Lark stood 10 feet away with a phone in his hand, pretending the guard's cruelty was not his sentence with a different mouth. Sabrina Lark stood beside him. She was not smiling now. Mia saw me and tried to straighten like she had not been embarrassed in public. That hurt publicly and cleanly. The guard lifted a hand. Campus access is restricted. I looked at his hand. Lower it. Felix finally looked up. Wyatt, this is a misunderstanding. The campus has reputation guidelines. We cannot have every personal rumor walking into a donor space. Mia flinched. That was the sound of the line landing. I crossed the distance before Felix finished pretending he was polite. The guard stepped in my path. I moved him into the gatepost with one hand against his chest and one clean twist to his shoulder. Not broken, not heroic, just enough to teach him that a uniform was not a wall. His badge hit the scanner. The gate clicked open. Mia stared. Felix's mouth tightened. You were making a scene over a girl who was barely connected to you. I turned to him. Say that again. Sabrina looked at her brother. Felix, he ignored her. You cannot turn every woman near you into a protected asset. I am not protecting an asset, I said. I am protecting family. That is why you should have stayed rich and quiet. The students near the gate had stopped moving. Staff had turned their heads. Mia's hands tightened around her backpack straps. Sabrina watched me, not like measurement at Bayfront Hall now, more like someone seeing a formula fail. I took out the black card and held it toward her. Sabrina did not take it. What is that? She asked. 50 billion in project control, I said. Password is your birthday. Felix laughed. You are giving my sister a toy? No, said. I am giving her your family's worst nightmare. Trust. The guard groaned against the gatepost. Nobody helped him yet. Sabrina's eyes stayed on the card. Why me? She asked. Because Felix thinks Lark women hold guest lists, not control. Prove him wrong or prove him right. I get an answer either way. Felix stepped forward. Sabrina, do not touch that. That was the best thing he could have said. Sabrina took the card. The system flashed. Sabrina Lark, devotion score, 8 to 42. Mia whispered, Wyatt, what did you just do? Opened the gate, maybe several. Sabrina turned the card once in her fingers. You understand what my family can do with access like this? Yes, you understand what I can do with it? That is why I handed it to you, not him. Felix looked at his sister like she had betrayed him by developing a spine in public. Sabrina stepped through the open gate and handed Mia a visitor pass from the inside counter. Mia Rowan is cleared for the study stream program, Sabrina said. Anyone who calls her a rumor answers to me. The gate staff heard it. The guard heard it from his new relationship with the post. Felix heard it worst. The system hit again. Sabrina Lark. Devotion score, 42 to 95. Devotion lock triggered. Counterattack, rebate unlocked. Trust was more expensive than a house and more dangerous than a blade. Sabrina did not smile after the lock. She looked at Felix. Tell the Lark family office, I am no longer studying Wyatt from the outside. Felix's face went cold. You will regret embarrassing us. Then stop making it easy. Sierra, who had followed in the second car and arrived just in time to hear that, whispered, Need quieter women to stop saying better lines than me. I almost laughed. Then Claire Ashford called. Her voice was still calm. Too calm. I have the sellers. Halden's side is pushing them to reject you publicly. If you want the strip, I need authority to spend now. I looked at Sabrina holding the 50 billion card and Mia standing inside the gate with her pass. Family protected, trust weaponized. Now the knife could walk. Claire, I said, buy the ugly pieces first. Those are the wrong lots. Good. Wrong lots make people careless. She paused. You think I am part of the trap? I think you are too useful to be innocent. Spend anyway. Her score moved. -12 to -3. Progress, if you are generous. Infection, if you are honest. Claire did not send the first offer from a quiet desk. She made me walk into the Pine County cellar room while the rumor was still fresh. That was useful. A trap works better when the people holding it think you are already tired. 3 sellers waited with stiff faces. A Halden Capital representative stood near the window, pretending he was only there as a courtesy. He looked at my plain coat, at Claire, then at Sabrina holding the black card. Mr. Locke, the representative said, Pine County appreciates serious buyers. We understand your public commitments have been extensive. Extensive meant women, it meant cars, it meant stage lights, it meant the city thought I had spent myself empty because they could not imagine spending on women ever returned anything but regret. Sierra would have loved the insult. She had stayed with Mia, so I enjoyed it for her. I looked at Claire. Which parcel does he want me to avoid? The representative's smile twitched. Claire's eyes moved to the ugly triangle at the edge of the map. That one appears useless without access. Appears, I said. Good word. Buy it first. Under Sabrina Lark's project control. Sabrina set the black card on the table. One seller leaned forward. That parcel is overpriced. Then it matches the room, I said. The payment approval hit. The Halden representative stopped smiling. Isla's voice came through my phone on speaker. My Lake Haven County building gives us the permit tie. Do not let them detach the triangle. Vera's voice joined a second later, sharp as ever. Koi Flow's service route touches the strip if the triangle closes first. I still hate this map, but it works. The sellers looked at one another. The Halden representative looked at Claire. There it was, not proof of betrayal yet. Suspicion. He saw his own tool moving the wrong piece and could not correct her without exposing why he cared. I leaned back in the chair. Claire, buy the strip now, the representative said. That strip has contested value. Halden Capital may still bid. May is a poor man's will, I said. Are you bidding or performing weather? Sabrina's mouth curved. Claire placed the second approval before the representative could call anyone. Strip, transferred. The room turned human. Sellers who had looked bored now sat straight. One whispered that the dead end was not dead anymore. The representative stepped into the hall and made a call with his back to us. But glass doors are not magic. I saw his shoulders stiffen as whoever answered taught him fear. Claire watched him through the glass. Her perfect applicant mask slipped. She looked like a woman hearing her leash creak. I said, last piece. She looked at the map. If I buy it, Halden knows. He already knows. I want him to know after it is too late. The final Pine County approval cleared at 11:43. The dead end had become a corridor. Blue Harbor Media Campus had a footprint. The system pulsed. Asset network increased. Halden Capital's trap had not failed. It had sold me the floor in front of its own witness. Then the crash came. Claire insisted on bringing the physical map copy from the county desk herself. Mia was in my car because I refused to leave her at a gate that had just taught everyone she mattered. We were 2 blocks from Blue Harbor when a black SUV ran the red light and clipped the passenger side hard enough to spin us into the curb. Glass burst. Mia screamed once. Claire's door crushed inward. For 1 second, the world was airbag powder, horn noise, and hot metal. The strength from the system moved before fear finished arriving. I shoved my door open, pulled Mia out first, and checked her face. I'm okay, she said, shaking. Wyatt, Claire. Claire was pinned against the passenger side, one hand pressed to her cheek. Blood ran between her fingers. Her calm was gone. Good. Calm can be armor. Pain finds the person under it. I tore the bent door back enough to reach her. The metal screamed. Claire sucked in a breath when I pulled her free. A long cut ran from the side of her cheek toward her jaw. She touched it once and went pale. My face, she whispered. Not vanity. Fear. In her world, usefulness had a presentation standard. I took off my jacket and pressed it gently against the cut. You are alive, I said. She looked at me like that was not enough. I knew that look too well. People who get used as tools fear damage differently. They do not ask whether they hurt. They ask whether they are still worth keeping. I put one hand under her chin, not romantic, not soft, just steady enough to make her focus. Claire, look at me. If it scars, I buy a better answer. If it does not, I still buy a better answer. You are not getting thrown out because the packaging got hit. Her eyes changed. The system pulsed. Claire Ashford. Devotion score, -3 to 19. Paramedics arrived. Police questions tried to become a scene. I cut that off with one line to the nearest officer. Take the driver. We are not turning a crash into a hearing right now. The human consequence had already landed. Mia was shaking but safe. Claire was bleeding but alive. The map was smeared with glass dust and still in her hand. By evening, Bright Glass Cosmetics delivered the scar healing cream I ordered under Claire's name. No formula, no miracle speech. A clean box, a visible promise. Sabrina's phone rang while the courier was still leaving. Felix Lark's name lit the screen. She put him on speaker without asking me. Felix did not waste hello. Return the card. The family office can still frame today as youthful confusion. Sabrina looked at the black card on the table. I am not confused. I am funded. You are being used. By a man who gave me control in public, Sabrina said. You humiliated Mia in public. Compare techniques before you lecture me. Felix's voice sharpened. You are choosing him over blood. No, she said. I am choosing the person who understood that blood without respect is just a stain. The line hit the office like a glass breaking clean. Sabrina ended the call. Her devotion lock had already triggered, but that choice mattered anyway. The system could show a number. It could not make a woman defy her family while everyone listened. That part was hers. Claire watched Sabrina set the phone down. Something in her face tightened, as if she had just seen a possible exit and hated how far away it looked. Claire sat in my office with a white bandage along her cheek and the cream box on her lap. She stared at it for a long time. You should be angry, she said. At the cream? It has done nothing to me. At me. Sierra leaned against the door. Knife confession incoming. Claire looked at her. You were right. Sierra went still. I hate that. Continue. Claire reached into her damaged folder and pulled out her secretary badge. It had been snapped in half. Halden Capital sent me, she said. There it was. The word spy did not need to be dramatic. It just needed to be laid enough to hurt properly. Celeste looked at me. Isla's eyes went sharp. Sabrina, sitting near Mia with the 50 billion card now resting on the table, did not move. Claire continued. The recommendation was real. The loyalty was not. I was told to push you into the wrong Pine County parcels, make the closings look desperate, and report when your money slowed. And the crash? I asked. Her mouth tightened. A warning. I do not know from who yet. I only know Halden called after it and asked whether the map survived before he asked whether I did. Nobody gasped. Judgment hit harder. Claire set another phone on the table and played the last voice message. Landon Halden's voice filled the office, smooth and irritated. Bring the map back, Claire. Leave the scar out of my office. You had one job, and you turned yourself into evidence of failure. If Wyatt Locke still thinks you are useful, drain him one more time. If not, disappear before morning. Claire stopped the message. Her eyes did not lift. I transferred 30 billion through Halden-controlled sellers before I understood the corridor. He has the money. You have the land, but the city sees the spend and thinks you are empty. I failed, Sierra whispered. 30 billion! Vanessa, who had arrived during the crash aftermath and stayed near the wall like guilt with shoes, covered her mouth. Claire's voice broke on the next line. I lost you $30 billion! I looked at the map. The Pine County corridor was ours. The Blue Harbor route existed. Sabrina had split from Felix in public. Mia was protected. Claire had been discarded by the man who planted her. I leaned back. Claire, I said, that is the first useful thing you have done all week. She stared at me. Everyone stared at me. I pointed at the map. Halden sold me the pieces he thought would strand me. He took money and lost the floor. He spent your loyalty and lost the spy. I call that expensive, not useless. Claire's face did something painful around the bandage. You are not firing me? For losing 30 billion to complete my media campus route? No. I am considering a bonus if you stop looking like forgiveness gives you allergies. The system flashed. Claire Ashford. Devotion score 19 to 95. Devotion lock triggered. Counterattack rebate unlocked. Skill module available. The reward hit hard, but the room did not soften. Good. Trust that costs nothing feels fake. This trust had blood, public rumor, a broken badge, and $30 billion of enemy money attached to it. Claire picked up the scar cream box with both hands. Halden has one more move, she said. I nodded. Show me. She unfolded the attack map. No private boardroom, no hidden villain speech, just what she had brought back after being thrown away. Halden's pressure points were marked in red: Pine County rumor, Blue Harbor doubt, Black Cat liquidity panic, and a public appearance at the Riverton Go Invitational the next morning, where Kenji Mori would be waiting for me on broadcast. Sabrina looked at the map. He wants money and skill questioned at the same time. Celeste said, if Wyatt answers only one, the other becomes the story. Mia, still pale from the crash but sitting upright, looked at my phone. People are saying Midnight Whale stopped replying because he has nothing left. The donor chat kept bleeding names. The city had already believed I was bankrupt by dinner. By morning, that belief would harden unless I killed it somewhere everyone could watch. I looked at Mia, then at Black Cat Live, then at the Go board on Halden's map. Claire had reached Devotion Lock and brought the knife back by the handle. Now I had one night to prove the whale was not dead. By 2 a.m, Lake Haven had already buried me. Midnight Whale was broke. Halden Capital did not need to say it directly. Cowards with money rarely put fingerprints on a rumor. They let donors leave the chat. They let sellers whisper. They let little men repeat big lies until the lie sounded like weather. Claire Ashford stood in my office with a bandage on her cheek and Halden's attack map spread across the table. Pine County pressure. Blue Harbor doubt. Black Cat liquidity panic. Riverton Go Invitational. 4 red marks. One morning. Mia Rowan sat on the couch with her laptop hugged to her chest. She was still pale from the crash, but her eyes had stopped shaking. People are in my Black Cat Live comments, Mia said. They are saying you used me for sympathy and then disappeared. Sierra Lane leaned over the back of the couch. Give me 10 minutes and a comments section. I can traumatize them alphabetically. Celeste Monroe said, No, we answer with a result. Isla Durant tapped the Blue Harbor map. The rumor is about liquidity. Kill that first. Sabrina Lark looked at the black card I had trusted her with. If you spend through a private transfer, they will call it fake. Claire's voice was quiet. If you release a statement, Halden will call it panic. Vera Frost, on speaker from Coiflo because she refused to come to a crisis meeting she had not designed, said, Then stop talking and make the platform scream. For once, everyone agreed with Vera. I looked at Mia. She was not a target. The counterbalance system did not need to put a devotion score over family. I used my personal rebate balance and Black Cat Live's public interface because this answer had to be clean enough for every opportunist to choke on. Mia swallowed. Wyatt, I do not want to be used. Then do not perform, I said. Study, let them be embarrassed in the background. She looked at me for one long second. Then she opened her study stream. No makeup lights, no crying thumbnail, no speech about being family. Just Mia Rowan at a desk, books stacked beside her laptop, hands still trembling but visible. The comments started ugly. Where is the whale now? Broke brother energy. Midnight whale spent it all on women. I waited until the comment thread got comfortable. Then I sent the first Black Cat livestream rocket. Mia's eyes jumped to the screen. The comments stopped for half a breath. Then I sent 100. The banner stretched across the stream. Midnight Whale supports Mia Rowan, then 1,000, then 10,000. The Black Cat Live front page buckled under the traffic so hard Celeste's phone started vibrating nonstop. Mia covered her mouth. Wyatt, she whispered, keep studying. She looked down at her notes with tears in her eyes and read the next line of her textbook like the whole city had not just walked into her room. That made the hit cleaner. No begging, no performance, no sell. Just a woman Halden's side had called a rumor turning into the most watched person on Black Cat Live before sunrise. The private donor chat that had been bleeding names woke up fast. One man who left at midnight requested readmission at 2:17. Another wrote that he had been misinformed. A third asked whether Blue Harbor Media Campus still had partner slots. I opened the loyalty list. The names that stayed during the rumor fit on one screen. The names asking back could have filled a banquet hall. One of the first calls came through Celeste's phone. She put it on speaker and held it away from her face like the voice might stain the glass. A donor who had left the chat at midnight said, There seems to have been a misunderstanding. I would still like to discuss a Blue Harbor Media Campus slot. Celeste looked at me. I shook my head. She said, Your slot was offered to someone who understood silence differently. The donor laughed weakly. Celeste, let's not be emotional. He had picked the worst possible word for a woman holding my platform authority after watching men run from a rumor. Celeste's voice stayed even. Correct. This is not emotional. It is operational. You left under pressure. Blue Harbor requires partners who do not mistake panic for strategy. Sierra put both hands over her heart. She is killing him with office language. The donor tried one more time. Mr. Locke and I can settle this directly. I leaned toward the phone. We just did. Celeste ended the call. Another message hit Isla's phone from a business contact who had ignored her after Preston Gray lost the private dining room. Isla read it, smiled once, and turned her screen around. The message asked whether her Lake Haven County building was still considering outside tenants. They called me a liability yesterday, Isla said. What are you answering? Mia asked. Isla typed with one thumb. That liabilities have waiting lists. Even Vera laughed from the speaker. The comeback became more than a flex. The rumor had sorted people by fear, and now every woman at the table had a door to open or keep closed. I sent Celeste the list of people who stayed. Blue Harbor slots, I said. Only for them. Celeste read it and nodded. And the others? They can watch the stream. Sierra laughed so hard she had to sit down. Isla looked at the list and said, That is cruel. No, Claire said softly, touching the edge of her bandage. It is accurate. By 3, Black Cat Live's front page had one story. Midnight Whale had money. By 4, the rich men who had left the donor chat were sending apologies to women they had underestimated the day before. Celeste received one from a platform sponsor. Vera received one from a Coiflo investor. Isla received 2, from people who had suddenly remembered her building had doors. Camila Rook sent a live clip from Silverline Studios with Howard Kincaid's name absent from the stage program. Mercy had nothing to do with it. It was sorting. The same people who abandoned me when the rumor sounded useful were now locked outside while the women they dismissed held the keys. The system pulsed. Public liquidity proof complete. Counterattack, rebates stabilized. Asset network synchronized. The first red mark on Claire's map went dark. Black Cat Panic was dead. Halden still had the go board. Riverton Arena looked different in daylight. Basketball banners above, donor seating below, cameras along the main floor, and in the center of it all, a quiet go board under white broadcast lights. Kenji Mori sat at one side of the board, calm enough to annoy me. He was not a campus bully like Pierce. He was not a cheap rich boy like Gavin. He was a public skill rival with clean hands, a cold reputation, and enough confidence to make the audience respect him before he moved. That made him useful. Landon Halden stood near the front row in a gray suit, speaking to Felix Lark like the morning donation had only irritated him. His eyes moved to Claire's bandage once, then away. Claire saw it. She did not lower her face. Good. A host introduced Kenji as the international star of the Riverton Go Invitational. The room applauded with real respect. Then the host introduced me. The applause came louder, but messier. Money applause, rumor applause, people clapping because they wanted to be seen clapping before the next update told them whether it was safe. I saw the split in the front row. The people who had stayed during the rumor clapped like they had earned the sound. The ones who had crawled back clapped like they were testing whether their hands still belonged in the room. That difference would matter after the board. Loyalty is easiest to fake before the score is visible and consequences start charging public interest. Kenji looked at me across the board. A donation proves money, he said in a clear voice. A board proves mind. Halden smiled. Then he stepped close enough for the front microphones to catch him while pretending he had forgotten they existed. A generous man can still be an empty one, Halden said. No offense, Mr. Locke. The public deserves to know whether Midnight Whale has substance beneath the spectacle. He aimed that line at every donor who had just crawled back after Mia's stream. Halden wanted them nervous again. If Kenji crushed me, the morning donation would become a panic flare instead of proof. If I refused to play, he would say I could buy women, platforms, buildings, and cars, but not courage. Good villain work, honestly. I almost respected it. Almost. There was the question. Clean, public, and sharp enough for every viewer to understand. Was I only a wallet? I sat across from Kenji. Good, I said. Money gets boring when people run out of price tags. The skill module from Bayfront Hall had not been Go. Piano taught timing. Basketball taught space. The system had opened a mental processing route after Claire's lock, and the Go board lit under my eyes with patterns that felt less like genius and more like someone had cleaned fog off a window. I did not explain that to the room. I played the first stone. Kenji did not rush. That made him dangerous. He built pressure slowly, letting me win little edges that looked good to amateurs while he tightened the center. The broadcast comments moved behind the cameras. Wallet is surviving. Kenji is baiting him. Halden's face stayed calm. Celeste watched the board from the front row. Sierra stood behind her, whispering curses at every piece as if intimidation worked on stones. Isla held the Blue Harbor folder. Sabrina held the Lark Project card. Vera had finally come in person and stood with her arms folded, looking as if she would rather be audited than emotionally invested. Mia watched from the side with her stream still live on a second screen. Vanessa stood near the back. I saw her once and then stopped giving her free space in my head. Kenji placed a stone that made the audience murmur. He had cut my left side. A commentator whispered that I had fallen for a classic trap. Halden's smile widened by 1 millimeter. Good. Let him own the prediction. I answered on the other side of the board. The commentator stopped whispering. Kenji looked at the stone longer than he had looked at any move before it. The first real crack showed there. He placed another stone to seal the cut. I let him, Sierra hissed. Why is he letting the calm guy eat him? Vera said. Because he is annoying. Wait. I almost laughed. Vera trusting my annoyance might have been her most romantic act, and she would have fired anyone who said so. 3 moves later, the trap closed. Not on me. On Kenji. The left side he thought he had cut became bait. The center he had built became overextended. The quiet corner I had been feeding like a useless pet suddenly connected everything. Kenji's hand paused over the bowl. The room felt it before it understood it. The commentator said, "That cannot be right." Then the second commentator said, "No, it is right. Kenji has to answer." Kenji answered. I cut again. His calm thinned. The next 10 minutes were not dramatic in movement. No shouting, no thrown chair. Just one public expert realizing the broke campus rumor and the reckless donor had no business seeing that deep into the board. He fought. That mattered. A weak rival would have made the win cheap. Kenji made me pay attention. Then I placed the final stone against his top group. He stared at it. The cameras moved closer. Halden stopped smiling. Kenji's fingers rested on the bowl, then fell away. He bowed his head. I resign. The sentence was soft. Riverton Arena exploded. Mia's stream chat turned into a wall of capital letters. Sierra screamed again. No dignity, no apology. Celeste closed her eyes once, then opened them with a smile she tried and failed to hide. Vera muttered, "Finally!" like she had personally been inconvenienced by my victory. Sabrina looked toward Felix. He looked away first. Kenji stood and offered his hand. I took it. You were not reckless, he said. I was, I said. I just got better at choosing where. The microphones caught that line. So did Halden's silence. The second red mark on Claire's map went dark. I had proved money. Then skill. Now Halden had to survive consequence. He tried anyway. Landon Halden stepped toward the broadcast area with 2 men behind him, and his smile repaired enough for public use. Congratulations, he said. A fine game. But a go board does not change land realities. Blue Harbor Media Campus remains exposed if sellers doubt your ability to close. He wanted the conversation back on terrain he thought he owned. Claire walked forward before I did. Her bandage was visible under the lights. People saw it. Halden saw them seeing it. She placed the attack map on the display table beside the go board. Then let's discuss land realities, Claire said. Halden's face hardened. You are dismissed, Claire. She looked at him. You already tried that. It did not take. The room reacted, not with shock, with appetite. Sabrina stepped beside Claire and placed the Lark project card on the table. Larkside access remains with Blue Harbor, Sabrina said, under my authority. Felix moved like he wanted to stop her, then noticed the cameras and turned the movement into nothing. Isla stepped up next. Lake Haven County building route is active, she said. The permit line connects. Vera dropped a Koiflow access card on the map. Service route touches the strip, she said. I still hate how elegant this is. Celeste lifted her phone with the Black Cat live dashboard visible. The broadcast partner stays, she said, and the audience is still here. Camila's face appeared on a Silverline Studios live feed behind the stage, smiling like a woman who had learned stage timing from pain. Silverline Studios backs the public launch, Camila said through the screen. Howard Kincaid is not on the program. The arena laughed at that because everyone loves a dead predator more when his name becomes a punchline. Halden looked at the map, then at Claire, then at me. His face finally showed the thing arrogant men try hardest to hide. Math arriving late. He had spread a bankruptcy rumor, and I answered through Mia's stream. He had backed a skill humiliation, and Kenji resigned. He had planted Claire, and she stood beside me. He had pushed land sellers, and the women he dismissed held every route he needed closed. One of the donors who had been standing near Halden stepped away, then another. Then the representative from Bayfront Hall looked at Celeste instead of Halden and asked, where should the Blue Harbor partner list be sent? Celeste did not look at me. She answered, to my office. The collapse had already happened. Not Halden shouting, not security dragging him out, just power turning its chair toward the women he had counted as decoration. Halden's jaw tightened. You think this is over? I looked at Claire's bandage. No, I said. I think it became expensive for you to continue. Claire folded the map. The cameras caught that too. The third red mark died. Halden Capital had lost the rumor, the board, the route, the spy, and the room. By afternoon, Blue Harbor Media Campus had a partner list again. The loyal names received slots. The names that left during the rumor received polite delays, which is rich language for stay outside. Sierra enjoyed sending those delays too much. This one wrote temporary distance at midnight, she said, waving her phone. I am replying with temporary door. Celeste took the phone from her. No, let me season the consequence. You will oversalt. Isla laughed first. Even Vera smiled. Barely. I saw it anyway. The final red mark on Claire's map was gone. The story should have ended there. Public money proved. Skill proved. Halden cut down in front of cameras, women holding doors that used to be locked from the inside. But the opening wound had one last invoice. Vanessa Bishop waited outside Riverton Arena near the side exit. No Gavin, no borrowed sedan, no boutique box, no breakfast ribbon, just Vanessa in a plain coat, hands folded in front of her, looking at me like she had finally run out of rooms where status could speak for her. Wyatt, she said. I stopped. The others slowed behind me. Celeste saw Vanessa and said nothing. Sierra's expression sharpened, but she stayed quiet for once. Isla touched her building key in her pocket. Claire watched like a woman studying final leverage. Vanessa looked at all of them, then back at me. I saw everything, she said. Mia's stream, the game, Halden, the women you trusted. They trusted themselves first, I said. That is why it worked. Her eyes filled, but she did not use the tears yet. Maybe she had learned that crying too early made it look like strategy. I was wrong about you, Vanessa said. Yes. She flinched at the simplicity. I do not want Gavin. I do not want the version of life I thought I wanted. I know I lost my place, but if there is any part of you that remembers us, there it was. The sentence the old Wyatt had begged the universe to hear. If there is any part of you. There was. The cruel part was simple. You do not erase 3 years because a system pays you. You do not become immune because a woman cries too late. The old part was still there, smaller now, sitting behind glass. But glass is not a door. I remember us, I said. Vanessa took 1 step closer. I held up one hand. That is why the answer is no. She stopped. I kept my voice calm because final cruelty did not need volume. You loved me best when I was useful and invisible. You regretted me when another woman held the bag, when Gavin hit the floor, when the crowd learned my name, when the city decided I mattered. That may be regret. It may even be real pain. But it is not the kind of love I am willing to rebuild my life around. A tear slipped down her face. This time, I did not hate her for it. I also did not move closer. I hope you choose better next time, I said, just not with me. Vanessa covered her mouth. No devotion score flashed, no rebate dinged, no system reward appeared. Good. The opening wound did not need another payout, it needed an ending. I walked away. Behind me, Vanessa did not call my name again. In front of me, the women who had tried to drain me were arguing over schedules, keys, cameras, routes, and which doors stayed closed to cowards. Celeste was already correcting a Black Cat Live sponsor. Sierra was threatening a donor with creative email language. Isla was on the phone about her building. Vera was telling someone at Koiflo to stop explaining her own company back to her. Camila's Silverline Studios feed was still climbing. Sabrina held Blue Harbor Media Campus access like a weapon her brother no longer controlled. Claire stood beside me with the folded attack map and the Scar Cream box in her bag. They had not become my prizes. That would have been too simple, and I had already been somebody's simple thing. They became pressure, leverage, trouble, loyalty, competition, and consequence. They tried to bankrupt me and built the machine instead. The counterbalance system had not made me loved. It made me impossible to treat like a doormat again. I looked back once at Riverton Arena, at the cameras still packing up, at the doors Halden had walked through without his room behind him, and at the side exit where Vanessa had finally learned that regret was not a key. Then I put my phone away and followed the empire I had accidentally funded into the daylight.